Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
And we're up and running. What's up, gentlemen?
What's up?
happening?
Good to see you.
Great to see you guys. First of all, before we even get started, your fucking new album is fantastic.
Thank you.
I listened to it at the gym this morning, in fact, right before I got here. It was fucking good, man. It's classic Black Keys. It's
Thanks,
so
man.
good.
Oh, shit,
you
man.
guys
Thank you.
consistently make just fucking banging music. It's so good. It's so consistent. How the fuck are you guys so consistent?
You know, we learned to play together, 23 years ago. I like literally started playing drums with him because before that I was playing guitar, and I guess we just learned how to play together. We have this kind of dynamic, and I think we also have the very similar tastes. It's all kind of very, I believe in fate after this existence we have, because if it weren't for us growing up a few houses down from each other, we would have never met, and we've become, like literally like brothers. We're like, our first record came out 20 years ago this week, and we've been doing this thing, and it's kind of feels like a dream, when I think back about all the shit we've been through. But as far as the consistency, it's like we've always been on the same page. We were like fascinated with albums. We wanted to make records, and we were like, two dorks living around the corner from each other who had these things called 4-tracks, like a little cassette, and you could record 4 different sounds.
I didn't have one. The first time I saw one was at Pat's.
I had one. He would
Blew
come
my
over.
mind, man. It was so cool.
You could like record guitar, vocals.
What year is
drums.
this about?
97. And then we would like fuck around on our 4-track, and I would take it over to his house, his parents' house, and we'd like set microphones up in the bathroom and to get different
He
sounds.
just sat on the toilet, put the drums in front of him, used the toilet as the seat.
And we would just have fun. And then, like around 2000 and it was 2001, it was like right around 9/11, I had bought this like digital 12-track recorder, and it was a big deal because it cost like $1,000, and I went into debt, and I ran into Dan right around then. We were both like 21, and I told him about it, and he's like, you should come record my band. He had a bar band, and so I told him to come over, and the other dudes just never showed up. And so I was there with this recorder, and he's like, you should just play the drums, which I didn't really play. And so we set up the mics, and he showed me the songs, and we recorded them real quick. And then, like, I spent a couple of days mixing it, gave him the CDR, and he's like, dude, we should start a band. And we had this friend. Our parents had not met this guy. Like, Dan's dad's like a folk art dealer, antiques dealer, and he had discovered this artist in Akron named Alfred McMore, who was schizophrenic and other things. And his dad used to buy him these scrolls of 50-foot long, 5-foot wide paper, and this guy would do these crazy crayon and pencil drawings on them. Dan's father would sell them for a couple $100 and give the money to this dude. And he would keep a scroll or two for himself, here and there. But this guy, my dad then was a newspaper journalist and would write stories about this guy. So this guy, Alfred McMore, used to call our parents' houses all the time. And we would come home from like school, and we'd have these messages like, this is Alfred McMore. If you don't bring me some pipe tobacco and some Diet Coke, you're a D-flat. You're a Black Key. And we'd have hundreds of these messages sometimes. And we were like, it was like a complete inside joke. So when Dan's like, we should name the band, we should start a band, I was like, we're the Black Keys. It was like within a second we had named the band. We sent this thing off, and we got this record deal. And then we got this record deal with a small little label in LA called Alive. And they basically said, if you send us 12 songs, we'll put your record out, and we'll send you like 50 copies on vinyl and 200 CDs. And they also sent this little paragraph contract, which is like the most bulletproof contract we've ever signed. We can't get out of it. But they kept their end of the bargain. We sent them this record that we made, and that was the thing. We spent like February of 2002 in my basement at this house we lived in. I lived in with some friends. Like it was like a
Richmond Place.
Yeah, it's this little really shitty house in the ghetto in Akron. It was rat infested, and I lived there with some buddies, and I set up in the basement with this recorder, and Dan would come over every day, and we would record, try to make this record, try to figure out what a record was. We had no idea.
I had to wake him up every day. He slept in. Pat sleeps well. I'd always wake up early, so I'd wait till like 10 to come over. There were no cell phones. I had to throw the rocks at his window, get him up every day.
Every day. I'd
Every
hear
single
his horn honking, yelling. He'd screaming in. And
there was a rat infestation too. We might have to like clean up a rat before we
dead rat here and
dead
there.
rat before we.
Damn, that many?
It was nuts, man.
They were in the bottom of the oven. I guess you guys didn't use the oven much.
Dude, it was nuts. But we had no idea what we were doing, and we just kind of knew that we knew we wanted to learn how to make the records. We just taught ourselves how to do it because the record deal we got involved us receiving zero money. So we were responsible for ourselves to make this thing. We didn't know how to mix. We didn't know how to do anything. We just guessed, and we sent the thing off and got these records sent back a few weeks later, and we were like hooked. And we were like, at that point, we were like, what do we do? What do we do now? Like, and the guy at Alive, Patrick, who runs the label, was very helpful and was like, he's French, and I can't really do the accent, but he was like, hey man, you got to go on the road, man. And like, he had this mercenary booking agent book a tour for us. And I just found like the original kind of route sheet. It was like 2 pages of text, and it just was basically like, leave Akron, drive to Chicago, guaranteed money like $50. Drive to Denver, no guaranteed money, $2 ticket. It was just basically like you'd have to be like probably slow to do what we did. And either slow or totally desperate. And we were probably a little both. But we went on this tour, and it was like out of a dream. Because by the time we go around, we go up like to Vancouver, and we have these crazy adventure. You know, we have no credit card. We just got a cell phone that was like too expensive for us to even use. And we were in this 1994 Plymouth Grand Voyager just driving across the country with just, you know, a Rand McNally Atlas trying to figure out like how to get to these places.
And like MapQuest directions we
I
printed
remember
out.
those days.
Like,
MapQuest.
and there's always construction and just
Yep.
totally fucks you up. And you're
And when we were 22, we were like little kids, really, because we were also kind of sheltered, I think, for 22.
yeah, we'd never really been anywhere. I'd been to New York City with my dad at antique shows or something, but I mean, we saw the world together.
Dude, oh my God, dude.
If you want to believe in fate, that's a good argument for it.
We showed up to this place on the third day. We show up. We go drive all the way across the country to Vancouver, and we're exhausted. We had to lie to cross the border. We had to say we were there to like go to a recording studio because we couldn't afford a work permit. And we found this hostel for like $10 a night, and we were like, let's stay here. My brother was with us. So we go in, we pay $30, and the guy's like, you want some weed with that? And these guys bought weed. I don't really smoke weed, and oh my God. I got so high, I got so paranoid, I thought we were going to get murdered in there. And there's this guy sitting in this little courtyard, right? When we checked in, he was wearing like this tracksuit, this like, big ball of weed.
It was like a ball of hashish. It was like hash.
Yeah.
It was like clay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was about this big, about a
Oh my God.
softball.
Just
And
staring at the walls, smoking shit, and like that was like around 11 a.m. At like 3 a.m. we get back to the thing. The ball's now like the size of like a marble, and he's just like, I was like, and that's when I smoked weed. I was like, that guy down there, like he's
gonna kill us.
fucking come up here. Have you ever seen the Woody Allen movie Take the Money and Run?
Yes.
His apartment, that's the room we stayed in with like the water stains and the sink off the wall. That's what the fucking place looked like.
Oh man, it's gnarly.
Dude,
It's so cool to tell that story, though, isn't it? Now, after all the success that you guys have had, to be able to have a story like that. I mean,
Dude, that whole tour is just stories like that because like
Every night was something ridiculous.
that's rock and roll, though,
dude,
right?
the
That's
next
story.
the next night we played this place in Seattle called Chop Suey, and it was crazy. It was like a couple hundred people showed up, and that was shocking. You know, like what the fuck? People know who we are in Seattle. They didn't know who we were even in Akron. Like
How'd they know who you were in Seattle?
there was a LA Weekly or a Seattle Weekly write up or a Stranger write up. We got a weekly write up, and it was filled up. We got a couple hundred. We got like $500, and I was freaking out, like, oh my, because like that was enough money to get us home, and I was like, I'm gonna sleep in the van tonight, like
Guard the money.
to guard the money, you guys go, and like they went to a party, and I woke up at 2:30 in the morning to the sound of like all these dudes outside the van. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on? I look out, and it's just like 25 people in Santa Claus outfits, and I'm like, what the fuck is fucking going on? I was like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, and I had to pee so bad. I was like, what the fuck? I have to pee, and there's all these fucking Santa Claus. I was like losing my mind, and I pee in this Gatorade bottle, but I get pissed all over the van, and I just like chuck it out the door, close the door. I'm like, what the fuck? And like the whole night I'm just like trembling, like what the fuck is going on? And I wake up the next day and it was like a gay bar called like the Manhole, and they were having like a Christmas in July party. So it was like that's what was going on. It was just like what the fuck, insanity, dude. But yeah, I mean,
when you think back about it now, it really must seem like fate. Like just the circumstances of you guys meeting, the fact that the rest of the band didn't show up, the fact that you guys lived right down the street from each other, and the way you guys get along together and make music. I mean, it's pretty fucking incredible.
Yeah, the older we get, the more I think we appreciate it, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, it feels like everything's changed around us. Everything's changed in life in general, but like when we get together in the studio, it's the same.
Well, it feels the same as a fan. That's what's amazing. Like you sent me the link to the new album. Does it come out today? When does it come out?
Comes out May 13th.
What's today? The 9th?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you sent me the link to it, as soon as it started, I'm like, yeah, Black Keys. Like right away. Like your music it's so recognizable. You know, my friend Ari turned me on to you guys. I forget what year it was, but you know, he knows I love like John Lee Hooker and I love a lot of like old blues guys. And he goes, dude, you're gonna fucking love these guys. And I've just been a gigantic fan ever since. I wish I could remember the first song I listened to, but I don't. But your music is so consistent, and it's not like a lot of the stuff that's out there. It's very uniquely your own, and I don't know how you guys are doing that. Oh, what is this? 2012.
All right.
Okay, but I think I'd already heard of you guys before 10 Cent Pistol. That was just someone put it on the jukebox.
I was just checking it.
Well, that's the cool thing about like you know, seeing people discover our band. You know, like I always think back to that first record and be like, oh yeah, this would be, you know, if I was a 15-year-old and I like discovered our band, knowing that first record was like this homemade thing, like, you know, you know, I think that we kind of have our story is kind of like, you know, it's like American Dream band type of situation, like two dudes who grew up on the same street, who got bullied by the same guy and traded baseball cards with each other, like start this band. And now, you know, you can see like that first record's like a testament to us learning how to do it, you know, because it's so raw and lo-fi and fucked up.
Sometimes that's really cool though.
Yeah.
Like there's this guy who lives in Canada. God damn it, what is his fucking name? We've talked about him before.
Singer?
Yeah. What's that? No. He's this really weird guy who wears dresses and shit and sings in his basement, and he set up a fucking like a curtain and put like an old VHS tape and made his own videos, and like one of his songs called "Really Big Cock," and he's either gay or he's bisexual. He's like he cross dresses. But his stuff is like really fucking interesting, but it's super like low budget, sounds terrible. Like it does nothing sounds crisp and clean, but there's some character to that. The fact that the way he does it that way. God damn it.
That was the biggest
it's one name. It's on the tip of my tongue. I've got
I think I just got it.
You got it?
Tonetta?
Yes, Tonetta.
I never heard.
Don't know.
See if you can find Really Big Cock, the video. Because it's actually good music. Like the guy, and I think the guy was like, if I wanted I think he worked in a computer store or something like that. And like this is some shit he did on the side. And it was an interview he did where his, yeah, this is it. Give me some volume on this.
Got a really nice cock. The kind that will make love rock. It's thick, it's long, it's well hung. It's a really, 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 really nice one. Got a really, 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 really sweet snap. To make love last. It sustains, remains in position. Tool fulfills any mission. Got a really, 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 really sweet treat. It'll put your womb into heat. If you got the room, I got the meat. It's a really, 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 really sweet treat.
Come on, man.
Dude, it feels like
Cool, right?
it feels like he's got a girl down in a well right next to her.
Give me a little more volume.
You know what I'm saying?
Keep it on the background a little bit. But you know what I'm saying? It's like I listen to this in the car sometimes. Like when I'm driving around, it's on one of my playlists. When I'm driving by myself, I like this song.
Oh yeah.
You know, but it's like you look at this guy made this for zero money. He has, I mean, I don't know what he's using. He's like fucking Windows 98.
Have you ever heard of the band The Shags?
No.
Okay. My Uncle Ralph was a musician. He was really like avant-garde.
Dan, you want some Tyson weed?
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I knew you would. I knew you would.
My uncle played with Tom Waits for years, and he played saxophone. He's into really weird stuff. But when I was a teenager, I went to visit him in San Francisco, and he introduced me to all this weird music for the first time. And he played me this record by this band called The Shags, and they have a record called Philosophy of the World, and it's three sisters who absolutely can't play music or write music or sing, and their dad wanted to start like a girl band with them, so he paid to record them, and they made this legendary Outsider record that it's like the songs. Yeah, there they are.
Damn.
It's amazing. I guess Frank Zappa famously said it was like his favorite band or something. But that's
Shit, let's hear it.
They all have these thick New England accents.
Holy fuck.
I mean, it's kind of truly American folk music, really. It's like compared to some of the blues stuff that Dan and I listen to, which is also self-taught. Like some of it kind of insane.
Very similar.
Yeah, it's very similar.
We were into some weird shit.
There's this guy named Sidell Davis that Dan used to listen to a lot. He had polio, and he taught himself how to play guitar with a butter knife. And I mean,
His fingers were all curled up, so he'd stick a butter knife and he'd slide it up and down. He had one finger that he could pluck with.
Do you have arthritis, like heavy arthritis or something?
I don't know.
the polio.
Oh, polio.
Oh,
yeah,
he had
he had
polio, and he was trampled in a bar raid in Chicago.
Wow, look at this. This is crazy. Let me hear this.
He's amazing.
Well, I see that would bounce back in my head, see, like this. You know I ain't did no good. Man said they dropped that atom bomb. It's an old song that I put together back when I was 18 years old. Told Hitler about Tokyo Rose. You know I love that woman. She about to put on a out of dough. I should have known. Baby, I just can't help you none.
That's wild. It's wild to see him play with that butter knife, too.
He's got a record called The Horror of It All. So good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like
Just
20 years old riding around listening to that record.
Damn. I listen to Robert Johnson sometimes. Like every now and then I'll go and try to listen to the original recordings. And you get, it's hard because you got to kind of put yourself in the mindset of people that lived at that time. Mm. It's kind of like listening to Lenny Bruce records. Like if you want to listen to Lenny Bruce, it doesn't make too much sense today. You got to kind of like pretend got to put yourself in the mindset of someone living in 1963. You have to like figure out how, like, what was this like for them? Like, this was groundbreaking.
Yeah, we played a Lenny Bruce. It was like, I think it was that like an ACLU benefit celebrating Lenny Bruce like 18 years ago. But they gave us each a box set of his stuff, and it was, yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, I don't think it translates super well.
No, it doesn't, because the culture is, everything he's saying is almost like so accepted now.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, it was.
He was just so far ahead of his time that when he was saying it back then, it was just groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, that's the same thing about like Robert Johnson's music. You'll listen to the original recordings. I mean, he was so revolutionary. There was people that thought he sold his soul. I mean, that's like the famous myth of Robert Johnson, is that he sold his soul to the devil to be able to play like that.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
Also,
Talk about
best
fate,
story.
though. I mean, he didn't have official recording session. I mean, it was like a guy in town who brought a field recording setup. I mean, so it's just fate that he walked in the door. No one's got any like photos, really. There's like 4 photographs of the guy, 3 photos.
is the legend that Robert Lockwood Jr. is his son or grandson?
No, I can't remember.
Cousin or something.
Some relation.
Think he died? Wasn't he poisoned?
That's what they say, yeah.
Damn.
They said he was crawling around on his hands and knees before he died, like a dog.
Like a Russian politician?
That's what they
Like an
said, because he'd
oligarch.
been poisoned.
Fucking insane.
That's a rough way to go.
But think about if that guy had not been there in the building with the recorder, we never would have heard him.
Yeah. Do you think
Think
there
about
was-
how many other people like Robert Johnson were out there just playing,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
just killing it in
Yeah.
every city they went to. He was dressed to the nines everywhere he went, just dapper as hell.
There's when we made this record that came out last year called Delta Cream, and it's a blues album, and we just it's all Mississippi hill country blues, which is a style blues that Dan and I've been into, and that's kind of what we first bonded over. Was this? There's this guy named R.L. Burnside, and when we first kind of realized that we both liked the same kind of music, it was kind of through this guy, because I was listening to this band called John Spencer Blues Explosion, and they made a record with this dude R.L. Burnside, and Dan was listening to R.L. as well, and all this other stuff that was on this label called Fat Possum that we ended up signing to years later. But we basically made a tribute to that music that came out last year, and part of the promo stuff was the only thing we could do during COVID was we drove down to Bentonia, Mississippi, and we played a show at like the oldest continually operated juke joint called the Blue Front Cafe.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
When was it established?
Late 40s.
Yeah.
The-
Yeah, the guy who runs it, Jimmy Duck Holmes, I did a record on him. He's a great musician, but his mom and dad opened it, and it was handed to him.
Could you imagine going into a time machine and getting dropped off in 1940 and watching music in that place?
I mean, that's sort of what it's like when you walk
If
in.
you go there, you're stepping back in time. It's crazy, and like that's where
That's
we played.
it. Wow, you guys played there.
We
That's
showed
crazy.
up at like noon, and like there's multiple people who had their pants already pissed. Seriously, just so drunk, belligerent, and like it was funny because I was like, "What?" "We don't even play till later. Like, what's gonna happen?" And then the people that were that drunk that early, they got so drunk that they got sober again somehow. They drank themselves through it, and then they were the ones. They were just completely coherent playing music at like midnight. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. But to think that those types of places were all over Mississippi, like not too long ago. Now there are very few. I mean, there's like a couple.
It seems like live music is something that people always love, though. So if you establish a culture of live music in an area, I wonder what makes that slip away like that.
Music goes out of fashion,
How is that possible? It's the thing it's the most like a drug of any form of entertainment. Music can put you into
I don't mean music in
happy
general.
mindset.
I just mean that style of music.
But I mean, even that style. I always get confused when things that are really awesome lose popularity in an area, while generally being still appreciated by anybody who hears them everywhere else. Like in the age of the internet, you would think like you would start seeing more places because people realize like if you go to see live music, it's fucking cool. And if you've never seen it, and you only get it on video, you're really only getting like 60% of it or 70%.
Oh,
of
it's
it.
life changing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Music-
being there, there's an extra element, right?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Music doesn't translate through a TV. I mean, I don't think so.
It's different.
It's-
It does work, though. I mean, think of how many people will never see you guys live but still love you. So it does work. The music does go through. But there's something about live that's like transformative. It's like it's like a drug. It's like if a musician is on stage and they're nailing it and the crowd is all in, like everybody's like synced in together, you know, and it's just you leave there, you feel better. You literally feel like you just went through something. Like, whew, that was great.
Absolutely. Spiritual. Saw
Yeah.
Link Ray felt like that. He walked on stage. He was in his 70s. They had to help him put his guitar on.
Damn.
And then he just ripped the whole fucking place apart. And everybody's going crazy, begging for an encore, and he never came back. It was amazing.
Yeah,
and
I
that
mean,
stuck with me forever.
nothing kind of quite can rip your face off than being in the same room with like a great band.
I was on news radio with Phil Hartman, and when Phil Hartman was, I think he was 19, he worked at the Whiskey as like some sort of like a kid that was like helping them make sure that speakers didn't fall off, like stagehand, some type of deal. And Hendrix was there.
Whoa.
So he's standing like this where
Holding
the
the P.
speaker is, holding the speaker so that Hendrix doesn't kick it over. Just got to make sure because it's kind of flimsy. And Hendrix is on stage wailing, just like feet from him.
Amazing.
And he would talk about that. And Phil liked to get high and fucking tell you stories like that. And he was just so good at them. He would just drag you into that moment. He was like explaining what it was like. He goes, I was 19 and I'm looking up and Hendrix is right there. And he's Hendrix at his prime. He's like, it was the greatest expression of guitar maybe the world had ever seen. And he's there at this moment, just wow. And Phil's a kid just staring up, watching this.
That of all the like, I rarely watch like music on YouTube, but when I do, it's like someone like Hendrix, and that stuff always blows my mind.
It blows your mind if he lived today.
Hartman also did a bunch of record covers. Didn't he do
Yeah.
like Steely Dan, Aja or something? He did,
Something like that. I have one of his records.
He did? What
that-
do you mean?
Out there.
His record
He was an
cover.
artist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a graphic artist before he was like a sketch comedian.
Oh my
amazing.
god, dude, he's
Yeah.
so funny. The skit, the Saturday Night Live skit, the Mr. Belvedere fan club. Have you
Yeah.
ever seen that? To this day, I reference that quite a bit. I actually met Colin Hanks by referencing that.
Anybody want any coffee?
I'll have a little bit.
Yeah, he was a super fucking talented guy.
Did he do that? Yeah. Wow.
That's a big record. Wow.
Pat, you want any
Crazy.
coffee?
I never
good.
knew that.
No, he was a super talented guy. And he was actually before. I have that album. Like we framed it, put it on the wall. That was another Phil Hartman artwork. But he wanted to do stand up. He was talking about doing stand up.
So cool.
He was warming up the crowd. He would like do a little stand up for the crowd when we were doing the show. But anyway, the point is like just imagine being there live.
Oh, my God.
That young and seeing Hendrix and being in a position like how do you get like feet away from him where you're literally like holding onto a speaker? He's right there. You could touch him.
When we were first touring, we got befriended by some music journalists. That's kind of our little network that we would hang out with when we were on tour. Was like, hipster writers who liked our band. And this one guy, Jay Babcock, we stayed at his house when we were in LA, like early 2003, and he had a whole box of VHS concerts and stuff, and he busted out this Black Sabbath live in Paris, 1970, and I mean, I think it's the best concert footage I've ever seen, and they've never officially released the whole thing, but it's the best concert I've ever seen, and it's absolutely mind blowing. Yeah, there's a couple songs from it on YouTube, but they haven't. But he had the whole concert, and it was like up for French TV, and amazing. But you can see a young Ozzy just like really just with it and just stoic. Yeah, headbanging, not moving, just banging his head. The drummer Bill Ward's just going off.
Insane in this show, and he keeps his extra drumsticks in his belt loop and his jeans.
Oh, it's just
Give me some of this, Jamie. Damn.
oh, it's so good.
fuck.
This is the kind of thing that would just gives me a complex watching it because,
Thank you. Good evening from Black Sabbath. Thank you.
oh my god,
Damn.
Clap your count.
Ozzy's been through the fucking ringer.
oh yeah.
All right now.
When you realize what he was like at one point in time, and you see what he's like
Oh,
now.
if you fast forward 3 years, they play a concert at a speedway in California, like 73, and you can see the drugs just already did their thing.
That dude went hard.
To check it out, fast forward to the Black Sabbath at the Speedway in 1973. He's wearing this crazy outfit, so on speed. It's like, it's a 3 year. 3 years later, just gone. But yeah, they made like 6 insane records in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, the lifestyle was just too much.
Oh man,
It was too much. That was. Do you think that people really knew like the long-term effects of speed back then? It seems like they didn't.
I don't know.
It seems
I
like
don't think so.
it wasn't around before that.
I don't
right?
think they cared. too
What
much.
wasn't Hitler on speed? Did he?
Yes. You ever see the video?
No.
I think it was the 1936 Olympics. I forget what year it is, but it's before World War II had officially kicked off. He's got the Nazi outfit on, and he's nodding back and forth and moving his hands like he could barely keep it together. See if you can find it. It's crazy to watch. He looks so cracked out, and this was a guy that started the fucking war. This is World War II from this fucking asshole. Look at him. Isn't that wild? Look at him tweaking. He's tweaking so hard.
He's like, I don't. He doesn't even need binoculars. Everybody else needs binoculars. Except
I mean, that is crazy. When you look at him compared to everybody around him, that's just wild, man.
So fucked up.
And what's crazy is, like, World War II was almost an amphetamine-driven war. From kamikaze pilots, that was the thing that they had given them, wasn't it? Is that a myth? That's not a myth, is it? Kamikaze pilots and meth? I think it's real, right? Didn't we look that up once? They'd meth them up and get them to fucking slam their planes into boats.
Man.
That was like the early days of speed, though, when those guys were doing it. I don't know if everybody knew, like, how bad that was going to wreck you.
It's responsible for a lot of terrible music.
that's for
It
sure.
really is.
There it is. For workers, soldiers, taking methamphetamine was a patriotic duty that hooked a generation. So they made the fucking country take meth.
Holy fuck.
Holy fuck. I did not know that. That's insane. This is fucking wild. So they made the whole fucking country do it for their patriotic duty. Wow. The result of the state promoting it during the war. And that is fucking crazy.
Yeah, man.
Well, they figured out when you're methed up, you're not thinking straight, and this is the best way to control a population. It's
I never really fuck with that kind of stuff, but one time I was partying in New York. This is probably 10 years ago, and a friend of mine was like, it was like 4 a.m, and we were on tour, and someone was like, "You should have some of this Adderall." I said, "Sure." They put some in my drink. I was up till 5 p.m. the next day watching the news, just so focused. Like I was like, that's you can get a prescription for that drug. I was like,
a lot of people are on.
I mean, dude, I'm really sensitive to that stuff. And I was like, I felt crazy. I was at the airport. I was at LaGuardia, like nodding off, like I looked like junkie. I was like, this is crazy. Like that really. It took me from being totally at a place where I should have been going to bed to up for a whole nother basically day.
How much does it wreck you after it's over, though?
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just so sensitive to it that the next day I slept the whole night and I was like, I'll never touch that stuff again.
And you were on a low dose? Is it a normal dose? Do you know?
I think I took 30 milligrams.
What's a normal one? Do you know?
I think some people take that every day.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
How much of the way you see, like, online fighting and bickering and just the chaos of right versus left is driven by that?
I think a lot.
I bet a lot.
Yeah.
I bet a lot. I bet there's a lot of people that are medicated out there. I bet we'd all be shocked.
You know, that's, the whole fighting online. It's like, we released, when we put a new song up, I'll like look to see, like comments on YouTube. Of course, I'll shave off like the worst 5% and the best 5%. But still, you can't help but be rattled by just like just what drives someone to just be a complete dickhead for no reason.
There's
online.
plenty of them.
Oh my God, it's like what the internet has become is just like, and like Twitter's the worst. I stopped enjoying it like a decade ago. I accidentally got into like a Twitter spat with Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga's fans.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
It was like I was like, oh, this is funny, and then I realized like, oh, this isn't fun, honestly. Like
too much negativity.
Yeah.
So many people. That's where they dwell most of the time, and it can trap you. And you can think that it's your duty to engage in this. You know, that you're writing, you're doing activism or something.
Yeah.
Just being shitty to people.
Just being
there's so many people just being shitty to people in that form, in a way that you would like never want to be in real life. Like you'd have to be a terrible person to just say to a person that you don't even know some of the things that people will type out on Twitter. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even that. It's also the total opposite, the fake niceness.
Sure.
Saying how great everything is.
Yeah.
You know, praising everyone for all this, like,
Yeah.
ordinary shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of that, too. There's a lot of, like, weirdness where people will find these little tribes of people that think very similar to them, and there's...
I mean, we were talking
amplify
earlier,
that signal.
I got a 14-year-old girl, and I worry so much about her with social media and how just what she thinks of everyday normal life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's rough on kids. They've
God.
shown, you know, there's Jonathan Haidt has a great book about it called The Coddling of the American Mind. They show the uptick in girl self-harm, suicide, self-harm that's directly connected to social media, correlated at least, because it's all the same time frame. It's like right around the time the iPhone comes out, right around the time when people had internet access on their phone. And then they started using apps, whenever that was, and you know what is like online dating like for people either? When you're just swiping right and swiping left to meet people. Tell me that can't get addictive. That must be addictive, right?
I don't know.
I can only
Yesterday,
imagine.
I had a friend who sent a dick pic to somebody he met on Tinder, and then they tried to get 15 grand off him.
That seems like a bargain. Something so stupid. That's hilarious. It's like, you know, I wouldn't want to be a kid today. But I guess everyone's always said that. That's the thing, too. It's like, if you went back to, like, the 1930s, they're probably like, oh, I wouldn't want to be a kid today with all the cars back when I was a boy. You know, it's been our thought always. We've always looked, you know, at the next generation coming up thinking, oh, boy, I wouldn't want to be you today. I had it easier.
when we were making this album, it was like the first time I'd really socialized outside my house in a year, because we were pretty,
locked
down. So it was a lot of fun. We'd go to dance studio and just like shoot the shit and tell stories, because we went to the same high school, and there are a lot of stories, just insane stories from high school, how fun it was, how crazy. Like, we were kind of like the last generation or close to it, pre-cell phone, pre-social media. We used to see like the girls at our school, the black girls specifically, would get into these fights that were just so epic that, it was rattling. I saw this girl get thrown through the trophy case.
Oh, shit.
And that kind of stuff happened like
all the time,
every day.
Jesus.
It was just insane. And I think about my stepdaughter who goes to a really fancy private school in Nashville, and she's never seen a fight.
I say the same thing to my daughter. I'm like, were there any fights today? She's like, what are you talking about? Nobody fights in our school.
Isn't that weird, though, that we can look back, as long as we survived those experiences, you look back at them like there's something kind of cool about it, like flavors your life, but you don't want your kids to be exposed to that, right?
We made a video for our first single off this record called Wild Child, and the whole concept was that we were just like gonna try to like work in some things that happened to us in high school, but kind of put it through the the concept like of high school today, what kids can get into, the trouble the kids can get into. But we were talking about like our high school a lot, and we had this health teacher who smoked a pipe while we ran track. He's like the football coach, and the way that he taught sex ed, which is like he didn't go into any detail about anything, but he grabbed a stack of photographs of venereal diseases. And he's like, here we go, venereal. He's like, genital warts. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. And he's like, look at this. He passed it around. Like, the kid like, not even wanted to touch it. And he went through. This is probably the most effective health class I've, it scared us straight, man. It was insane.
That sounds like a great strategy. Show people.
Yeah,
Can they still do that or no?
I don't know. It worked for me.
I think you'd probably get in trouble for showing infected genitals in class.
Maybe only if it's, especially if it's your infected genital.
If it's yours, yeah. This is back in '85. That's called crabs, kids. Look how red my balls are. Yeah, you can't do any of that. You can't show them pictures of stuff. Oh.
Yeah.
But it would work, especially for boys.
Really? You
know?
can't show pictures
I
anymore?
don't think so. I mean, I don't know what you can show. I'm just guessing. But I'm saying if you did show that, like, if you showed genitals that were infected by venereal diseases, for sure you're getting fired. Right?
Really?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I would imagine you're not allowed to show a rotten dick in classes filled with kids.
Maybe if you say, "Oh hell no," when you pass it around, it makes it better.
Yeah, you just let them know this is not good. I'm not,
not good.
promoting this. This is scared straight for penises. Fuck, man.
We had this student counselor, high school counselor. His name was Mr. Bennett, and he sat he had an assistant, this chick named Abby, sat next to me in math class when we were seniors. And he would he'd walk in and he was, very effeminate, but he had a family. But there's something just so weird about this dude. And every day I would say to Abby after he would come in every day to see her and then leave. And I was like, man, there's something like Mr. Bennett. I think he might play with some of the boys in school. Really? And she was like, you're so, and I was just bullshitting, but then the next year it came out, he went to prison. He was literally fucking a student, a boy, in our school, and I've been ever since I never ran into Abby ever again. But I wish I just want to let her know that it wasn't a cry for help from me. I just was guessing. We had a soccer coach. He used to he would ask all the boys to at the end of the season to donate their shoes so that he could give them to less fortunate people, and he was just jerking off in the shoes, and they found him all in his closet before he went to prison.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's the problem with any job where you get to work with kids. Are you working with kids because you love them and you want to educate them and you feel great satisfaction out of that? That's mostly. Mm-hmm. But are you working with kids because you're sexually attracted to them? That's some. That's what's scary. What's scary is a tiny percentage of people that are just fucking freaks.
Yeah.
And, they'll bang a kid at school. That's just a small percentage.
It boggles my mind, really.
It's a broken part of human life that exists. There's something about the human brain that does that. It's the most forbidden thing. There's something evil about it in a way. It's like terrible programming.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that a person could ever do that, and the fact that it happens often from people who had been molested themselves. Mm. That's the scary thing. It's not like a sickness that infects someone.
Well, yeah.
Insane.
It's nuts.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about all this, the wildness of today, and the strange. It seems like more now than ever. I don't know what the fuck the future holds for the human race. Yeah. More now than ever. I look at all this crazy shit that's going on with Russia, and I start thinking I don't know if we're gonna make it through this. Why am I so cocky? Why am I thinking every day everything's gonna be fine? This might not be fine. This is one of those it might not be fine moments.
Yeah. Watching all that stuff go down.
And watching just everything in our country, just everything is so fucking polarized and crazy. Why are we fighting so much? Is this necessary?
when I think about like everything that's been going on the last couple of years, I for some reason this image keeps coming up, and it takes place when we were on tour, and I find it to be like the most comforting thing for some reason. But it was like after a show in Houston, there was these two like chicks that came to the show and hanging out, and they wanted to hang out with us after the show, so we went down to their car, and all they wanted to do with us was a bunch of whippets, and we went to their car. Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. And their whole backseat of their car was just filled up with whippets. And my brother was there and Dan was there and just sat there and did whippets with them. And I was just like, that's how I miss those days. That was it. That's the whole story. Just like
I worked at a Newport creamery and people got fired for doing whippets. It was an ice cream place in Massachusetts. And dudes who worked there would do whippets.
It's so innocent though. These girls just want. They just
bill
wanted to
doubled this month.
Yeah.
I've never did whippets, or if I do, I don't remember. I don't think I got high off of it.
Oh
I don't think I did it right. Maybe I tried a little bit, but the guys who did it swore by it. They would do it all the time. They would use because they had those fucking big ass jugs because we would make whipped cream back there. So they had these big ass jugs of the juice, and they would get back there and.
My friend's dad was a dentist, and they used to go. I mean, he's about 10 years older than me, so this is years ago. But they would sneak into his office and just turn the nitrous machines on, sit down in the chairs, and chill out.
Wow, that seems dangerous.
That seems insane.
That's Gen X for it. We're like at the tail end of Gen X, but like deep Gen X, there's a whole different level of fucking with shit like that.
You feel like you could find someone dead from that.
Yeah.
Well, we live in a time where you can get ketamine drips. You can get therapeutic ketamine drips.
I know a dude who was working with me who got into that and had a complete meltdown. Just basically ran away from me and from moved to a different city.
I can't speak to it because I haven't done it, but I know friends that have done it for depression. Like my friend Neil did it for depression, Neil Brennan, and he said, dude. He goes, I go into this fucking office. He goes, they rig me up with this thing. I think, it's probably, just going to be like a weird sort of sedative state. He goes, no, I'm full on tripping balls. You're just psychedelic tripping in a doctor's office.
Dude.
And you can get it all over the place.
I asked my friend, I was like, what happens when you take it? He's like, well, it's weird. I have the same experience every time I've taken it. I was like, oh yeah, what's that? He's like, yeah, the last 24 hours play back in fast speed, but in real, in order. I replay the last 24 hours. And I was like, fuck that.
Fuck that.
Dude, that's a sign that you shouldn't be doing that.
Fuck that.
What the fuck is that?
Oh my God.
I don't know, dude.
Dumbest TiVo ever.
Kids get addicted. I knew a guy who died from it. A guy was using it recreationally. A guy was a kickboxer.
Died from Special K?
Yeah, he was doing it too much and he died. He was addicted to it. He wanted to do it all the time.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, apparently with some people they get addicted. He went into a treatment place out in Thousand Oaks. There's another friend of mine put him in there, and I remember thinking, man, that's the stuff that John Lilly used to take when he was in the isolation tank. He used to intramuscularly, he used to shoot himself up with ketamine. He'd get in the tank, bang, hit his thigh with a fucking needle and pump it full of ketamine, open the door, throw the needle out, and just go into another dimension, like in the tank. And now you can just get that in a drip. Dude. You just go to a place, and they're like, what are you, depressed? Dan, have a seat. I'm gonna bring you to another dimension.
We know 3 people who we've worked with over the years who all did the same thing. They all took LSD every day for a year. These are independent of each other, these people. And they're 3 of the smartest people that we know. But I feel like it's almost, if you can get through that. And also one guy in particular, he would take it before he went to bed. He taught himself how to sleep on acid.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. I bet it's like, remember in the old days when people had computers and they would overclock their computers? You remember those days?
No, what is that?
No, Jamie, you know what I'm talking about, the early days of gaming computers.
Still do it.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. But in the early days, when people started making computers for gaming, you would change the speed of the computer and overclock it past its specifications. And you could do it with some. But some would burn out and break.
Okay.
Some of them, though, would make it better. I think that's the way brains work. I think it's the same. I think if some people do acid, it just bang, and then you got broken pistons and fucking smoke coming out of the pipes. Some people can maintain high RPMs on that shit, and it actually like just like making a computer more functional or have more power, more juice. I think it does it to people too, but I just don't think most people can maintain it.
Dude, I think the amount of...
And once you go there too far, you can't go back.
Most people know someone
Oh, yeah.
who's gone to the dark.
I went to
dark
school
lands.
with a girl whose dad had taken too much acid. And we used to go to this pool in the summertime, and I saw him one time, and he was in front of the... It's like a public pool, you know. And in front of the pool, he was selling tie-dye T-shirts.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, you
And
know,
he was so fried, man.
I think also
crazy.
it fast tracks like schizophrenia. If you have it, you know,
Yeah.
you can jump to the front of the line there.
There's a book about that that Alex Berenson wrote about edible weed in general, but I think edible weed is the one that really does people in. There's something about it for some people, for people that have a tendency towards schizophrenics, it seems to indicate that it might trigger that.
Oh, I had a girlfriend whose brother smoked some weed laced with something. I guess I don't know what it was, but I had to go pick him up from college, and he came back. It was like he thought the TV was, you know, talking to him, and it was terrifying. And like 3 or 4 days later, it kind of mellowed out. But I was like,
Man.
Guys have gone. I mean, the guy from Pink Floyd.
Sid Barrett.
Yeah. Right. That was a LSD thing too, right?
Oh yeah. I think it. I mean, I think we grew up around a lot of like burnouts, really.
Even the Unabomber. The Unabomber was a part of the Harvard LSD studies.
Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Fucking insane, man.
Yeah, they ran studies on that dude with acid back in the day when they would just try shit on people.
Yeah.
You guys ever heard of Operation Midnight Climax?
Is that the dude that jumped out of his window or something?
No, it was the CIA had an LSD program that they would do in brothels.
Oh yeah.
So they would dose up these Johns. They'd come in to talk to the ladies, and the ladies would give them a drink, and they would drink it, and they'd be tripping balls on acid, and they'd film them and ask them questions and shit.
Just get all kinds of dirt. Yeah.
Just watch them have sex and freak out.
Oh my God.
And you know, not even knowing you're on acid.
Oh my God, man. I met this chick who was in the she was in the CIA for a while, and she was telling me about it. And her job was she was like partnered up with a guy who she ended up, I guess, maybe being romantic with, but they both were agents, and they were sent to China to like start an art gallery, and like they were like basically hanging out with like the artists and the, you know, subculture, and then selling that work to like, you know, the successful business guys and politicians, and I guess, you know, she was able to talk about it because they let her out of the thing. But yeah, so I'd always wanted to be in the CIA.
That window thing is Operation Midnight Climax.
What is
They're
the different one?
They're the same. It's the same thing.
He jumped out of a window. They scared this guy to the point where he killed himself.
Oh, so the guy, one of the Johns jumped out a window?
And they believe, it's the same program.
He had young kids, and
Oh, God.
yeah.
Oh, they did. You know, they also ran the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic, where Marilyn Manson, not Marilyn Manson, Charles Manson, excuse me, was getting all his acid. It was all from the same program. It's this guy Jolly West in the CIA. It's wild shit was going on back then.
Yeah.
What are they up to now?
With the CIA, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. Where are they at now?
They probably run TikTok.
Are they giving ketamine trips?
Dude, the last time we were on here, like 3 days later,
Seriously.
I ran into, we were playing our first arena show in years at the Pepsi Center in Denver. I reached out to you after this, but I was like sitting backstage, and our production manager came back. He said, "Hey man, Tom DeLong's here. He wants to meet you." And I was like, "Really? I never met Tom." And I was like, "Sure, yeah. Please send him back." And Tom's cool as hell. I never met him, but man, he freaked the shit out of me. Right before I went on stage in front of like 15,000 people, he was like, "Yeah, UFO." For an hour, he was like, "UFOs are real. They're watching everything we're doing. you know, there's a lot of shit going on. And dude, for an hour, I was just like, what the fuck? And I got so paranoid. Then I went out after the show that night to this bar, and I like met these ex-military guys. Like, hey, we own this bar here. You should come hang out. And I followed them to this bar, and they're like, oh yeah, there's these some girls that might stop by. I was like, okay, yeah, like they're Russian, they're strippers. And I was like, what the fuck? They don't give visas to Russian strippers. And then all they did is sat there and asked me how I felt about Vladimir Putin for like an hour.
What?
Straight up. And I was like, what are you doing to me? What the fuck are you asking me? But I was like, these are all military. I get me the fuck out of here. It was insane. So I don't know, man. It got me so bugged out. But a part of it probably was the fact that Tom DeLonge was telling me that, like, he told me that he was like, do you remember the blackout that happened in 2003 in New York? Which I remember because we were traveling in from Europe, and we landed at Newark, like right around then, and our flight got all delayed, and we ended up renting a car. But the power outage that happened, they say it happened in Akron, where we're from. They say like some dumbass, like Homer Simpson type, just hit the wrong button. That's what they said. And he was like, "Oh no, it was actually the government shot down a UFO that day with the electromagnetic pulse."
Yeah, I had Tom on my podcast, and he's a really nice guy.
So nice,
really nice guy, and very talented musician. But I think he is a believer, and I don't say that it's not a negative thing. It's a state of mind. It's a state of mind where you are a believer first. Like, you believe in UFOs. You want to believe in UFOs. And then it takes on a religious quality. And it can happen with almost anything. It can happen even with atheism. It can happen with anything. People just could decide that you don't want to ever question any aspect of it. You just want to only look at it like UFOs are fucking real, man. So he showed us some videos, and I was laughing. I'm like, dude, this is the fakest looking shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, I think... there's no doubt that there's probably, I want to say there's no doubt, we might be the only life out there. That's a possibility, because we don't know for sure there's other life out there. But we might not be. And more likely than not, we're not.
Yeah.
More likely than not, there's a fucking infinite number of civilizations out there. More likely. So have they gotten here? Fuck, man, maybe. If they were really good, if they knew how to get here, don't you think they'd be able to hide? I mean, we have fucking radar jammers on front license plates to try to stop cops from, hitting you with the speeding gun. Yeah. You don't think they're smart enough to avoid detection? So maybe they have been here. But there's also a lot of fucking crazy people.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of crazy people that are believers. They're just fucking stone cold believers, whether it's in Bigfoot or UFOs.
It's not hard to start believing that, in a conspiracy. You know what I mean?
Not at all. It's easy to believe.
It's very easy. And, whatever it may be. It's just when you go fully deep into it.
Yes.
It's where it can get a little freaky. I mean,
I think most likely.
When I was a teenager, my friends and I used to go to this this little video rental store, and they had a section on, it was all conspiracy videos. The guy that owned it must have been into it, but they had videos on the Illuminati, and we would rent these things and
those are the best. Which place is this?
It was over by it was behind Farrell and Bull. I forget the name of the rental
Those things
place.
were great before the internet.
But dude, we got
the video stores.
Yeah, well, I mean those conspiracy movies before you could research whether or not they were
Faces
bullshit.
of Death. Remember those videos? God.
But the thing about those conspiracies is they're like, oh yeah, there's Hillary Clinton's lizard. And,
lizard people.
You can see George Bush's gills open up and whatever. I mean, I will say this though, we have been in some. We've definitely been in situations where it's like, oh, why are all these people hanging out with each other? It's like every rich and famous person hangs out on vacation here together. And St. Bart's on New Year's Eve, it's like, if you ever wanted to take over the world, you just need to take over St. Bart's on New Year's Eve. You'd have full control of the world, straight up. Every yacht's there. We played a show there for Larry Gagosian and Roman Abramovich years ago, and it was really cool, private little beach party. And, a bunch of celebrities were there, like Chris Rock and it was Rick Rubin and whatever. But then at the same time, we're flying in and we land and they're like, oh yeah, they're going to take a boat from St. Martin's over to St. Bart's. And so I get on this boat and it's like, this thing's flying. It's going 80 miles an hour. And I was like, what the fuck? This boat, this is Roman Abramovich's yacht? He's like, no, man, this is Roman's boat that goes inside of his yacht. And I was like, what the fuck? He's like, yeah, there's two of these boats go inside his boat. And they had like forward-looking infrared. You could see like it looked like daylight, and there's flying.
Holy shit!
And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I was like, how often does he have to like refuel that boat? He's like, the pilot, the ship guy, whatever you call it, skipper, was like, he was like, that boat every 2 years you need to take that thing to fuel. And I was like, what the fuck? It's like, I was like, is that like a nuclear reactor on that? He just looked at me like I was an idiot. I still don't know, but I was like, fuck, man. I was like, that's like, it could be a really good Adam Sandler vehicle, like Airheads, but instead of taking over a radio station, they take over the world by, I don't know. Well, the band goes and plays St. Bart's and then just like, I don't know, takes over the world.
It'd be good to do it at this time when the Russian oligarchs are all getting their yachts stolen from them.
Yeah.
You got to wonder why everybody wants that yacht. All those rich guys want the fucking yacht. The big, huge yacht. David Geffen.
Yeah, they
What's
have their
in
own
these
little
yachts?
town.
What powers these? Yeah.
What? It's just the ultimate baller thing, isn't it? For those
dude.
guys?
I think, dude, they're armed, straight up.
They're armed.
Oh, yeah.
So those things are like military vehicles.
I know. I heard that Romans had some fucking weapons on it. Fuck yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Torpedoes.
So they're driving around an armored city. And then,
dude, yes.
so do you...
Dude, surface-to-air missiles?
Jesus Christ.
Straight up,
In their
dude.
yachts?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Wow.
'Cause-
Didn't one of them have a submarine?
Of course, dude. What the fuck's going on?
What? Look
What
at that
is-
thing. 2 helipads, 2 swimming pools, bulletproof windows.
Dude, you can't just tell me these guys all just like loved G.I. Joe a lot or something. What the fuck?
It's $1.6 billion. Is a mini submarine with, what does it say, internal boarding? What does that mean? That's crazy. It's got a fucking submarine.
Holy moly.
Yeah, $1.6 billion.
So you see something like that, you can't help but think it's
Hey,
some sort of
bro.
conspiracy, right?
Yeah, hey, bro, where'd you get the money? Like, you're balling out of control, fella. And so that's the weird thing. It's like they're taking everybody's stuff, but do they have to find out how they made their money? Are they asking for or is this like, are you Russian? Are you rich? Well, then I'm
It's
stealing
weird.
your yacht.
It's very odd. I don't know. Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Like, part of me is like, yeah, fuck those guys. And part of me is like, wait, what's happening? Like,
Yeah.
what are they doing with those yachts? They're going to just take them? The government has them now? Are they going to sell them?
Dude, I don't know.
Who's going to buy them? Who's going to buy the Russian yacht? It's probably hooked up to remote control. You know?
Yeah. Dude, do you remember when Katrina hit and then like there was a little news story that like no one really mentioned? I didn't really see much about it, but like all these Navy trained dolphins escaped. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I do remember that rumor, but I don't remember researching
don't we need to
it.
know more about that? Someone just mentioned that. Like, what kind of dolphins are out there?
What do they train him for?
Well, they definitely trained them to blow up submarines. They did. Yeah, they trained them to be essentially suicide bombers. The global war on terror, the Navy reportedly began training dolphins to shoot potential terrorists targeting Navy ships. But a special investigator claimed that after Hurricane Katrina, a few of those deadly dolphin guards escaped, and the Navy has been looking for them ever since. So they got armed dolphin assassins.
It's
What?
like a South Park episode.
What does it say? Roaming the seas with toxic? What is the thing that says there right underneath there, Jamie? What does it say? Toxic. Toxic what? Toxic dart guns. Oh, Jesus Christ. They've got poison dart guns that they can shoot.
Holy shit.
Look how they're rigged. They're rigged up. That is fucking insane. That is fucking insane.
They're last seen headed towards St. Bart's.
Dude, that is so crazy. We armed dolphins and taught them to fuck things up.
Dude, and they like to fuck, I think.
They like to fuck,
yeah.
and they also, unfortunately, engage in infanticide. They kill the babies. That's why female dolphins try to have sex with as many males as possible, because when the female gets pregnant and she gives birth, the baby has to be with her for many years. She has to take care of it for a while, and she won't breed with other males. So males will try to kill her babies, try to get her to breed again. So if she has sex with a bunch of males, they're like, oh, those could be my kids, and he doesn't do it.
Yeah. Damn.
Dolphins are ruthless.
Flipper, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck, dolphins?
Do you know, I was thinking about, like, I have a conspiracy theory, too, about cats. My wife's, like, obsessed with cats, and so is my stepdaughter. And I was talking to a buddy of ours, and he's like, oh, yeah, cats, man. You know, they got this toxoplasmosis. I heard you talking about it a couple of weeks ago in here.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. He's like, dude. And he was, like, floating this idea that, like, you know, it's a bacteria that it enters your brain, but it causes, you know, like, rats to want to go up to, you know, they feel safe around cats, so they want to engage with the cat. But I was like,
They actually get excited.
I started thinking, dude, like, what if cats actually domesticated people? Like cats actually, when people, like, make statues to the cats.
Yeah.
Like the Egyptians worship the cats.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man. Animals are fucking amazing. And I think I do kind of think, like, a cat, like, they're cute and cuddly, but, like, people I know that, like, are cat lovers, like, dude, it's so deep, it's so intense that they get offended when you even float that idea that, like, 'cause I've never, like, I lived with a cat so far in my house now for years. I see it. I try not to trip on it, but, like, I don't.
I would bet that toxoplasmosis, the same way it tricks a rat and rewires a rat's body, it probably in some ways does exist in a way that the cats sort of domesticate us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
probably right. In
I don't
some
touch that-
weird way, it's like symbiotic. At least they're all connected together.
they kill the mice around my house. And
Yeah.
it's all cool. But I don't touch
But they
the
give
litter
that
box.
cat shit, and that cat shit has that toxo in it. If you get it,
Oof.
you have it. That's it.
Oh man.
I don't think they can cure that either.
I mean, think about, like, the stories. Like, my stepdad bought a house before he met my mother, and the woman was living in there by herself with, like, 50 cats.
Oh,
Just cat
Jesus.
piss all over the place. Like, everyone was fine with, like, she was fine with that.
Jesus.
Dude, what? That's not normal.
Yeah.
It's a toxo.
But
dude.
it's common.
It's dude. Yeah. You
very
don't hear
common.
about. It's very
Imagine
common.
if tigers were really smart. How fucked would we be?
Dude.
They're really smart, like dolphin smart. But they like to. That's one thing that we're really lucky about. The things that like to kill shit other than humans, they're not that smart. They got good instincts, but they're not. But if they could change their environment and be that big, we'd be fucked. Cats
Dude.
are a weird animal.
I bought a house near Charleston a couple years ago, and it's weird living in a place where there's, like, alligators.
Ooh,
You know?
Jesus.
And I started golfing recently, and it's very unnerving to, you know,
Yeah.
not, you know, I'm an Ohio kid. I'm sitting there and, like, look over and, like, holy shit, there's, like, a 10-foot fucking alligator right here near my golf ball. Fucking insane. But yeah, I'm still not comfortable, you know, obviously being around a huge alligator like that.
You
but,
shouldn't be.
Yeah, but I rented this house in Kiowa Island right when I was moving to, you know, buying this house in Charleston. Kiowa's like it's like a golf kind of wonderland, right south of Charleston. There's like 10 golf courses and some, like, luxury homes. I rented this place, and you know, I was like, oh man, there's alligators everywhere. I should, like, look up, like, when was the last alligator, like, attack? You know, and they're like, oh, woman was killed. This was like May of 2020. Like, some woman was killed in Kiowa, and it was like 2 weeks earlier. I was like, wonder where that happened. It happened like 150 feet from the front door of this house I rented. This woman was taking a selfie. She went to go take a selfie with an alligator, and, like, she apparently, like, took it and then walked away. And she's like, that's the last time I'll do that, because it, like, snapped at her, and it, like, apparently went up and
Oh, Jesus
got
Christ.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, they can. They don't a lot, but they can. They certainly fucking can eat you. They've eaten people all the time. It's just a weird thing that people are too comfortable around them. I don't understand it. Like, they get real close to them and take pictures.
Dude.
It's like, what? Just because it's not moving doesn't mean it can't move.
We had family in St. Augustine, Florida. We go there every summer, and they've got the alligator farm there. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
It would just scare the shit out of me, getting that close to alligators, man.
Holding a dinosaur.
I lived in Gainesville, Florida for 3 years. And back then, we'd throw marshmallows into the lake, and they would eat the marshmallows. Then eventually they decided that was bad for the alligators, so they asked people to not do it.
They all got diabetes.
I mean, I guess it probably isn't good for them, but you just to see it, like, How weird it was that there was. I'm like, these things aren't even like fenced in. This is just a lake, and I mean, it wasn't like some sort of organized park. And this is they're taking care of these alligators. No, these are wild alligators just hanging out.
There's this amusement park in Ohio called Cedar Point, and like there's like a carp infestation in Lake Erie. You would go up there, and they'd have like you could buy fish food and throw it in, but we all realized that you just spit in the water, and they jump up, eat your spit. But I thought it was really fucking scary that these fish were so just weren't ready to eat anything. But yeah, the alligator thing, man.
And they're nothing compared to crocodiles.
No.
One of the things they found in the Everglades is Nile crocodiles, and they're really worried that there's a breeding population. They don't think there is, but they've definitely found a couple Nile crocodiles. Those are the big ones that eat like zebras and shit.
Oh my god.
They're hyper aggressive. That's a totally different thing. And assholes just let them loose in Florida.
Dude, there was like a bunch of like boa constrictors and pythons and
pythons.
Yeah, pythons.
They've decimated the Everglades. There's like almost 90-something% of the mammals that used to live there are gone. Like in terms of like their numbers, like 90% down deer, 90% down raccoons. Like everyone's getting fucked. They're so big and they're everywhere. They find like 19-foot long ones. Oh, they used to be people's pets. They just let them go. And there's so many of them.
There's a lot of meth there too.
So much.
Bad combination.
Bath salts.
Yeah. Giant
bath
snakes,
salts.
jungle snakes that eat everything, and meth.
Yeah, I mean,
Fuck.
Nightmare.
They even eat the alligators down there. They find alligators inside their stomachs. It's crazy. There's video of them eating alligators. They'll eat anything. Pythons are like the ultimate demon.
Man, I'm just so
long this is.
fucking freaked out.
This is one this guy caught. Look at the size of this fucking thing.
Hold on. It shows it just.
He says, I caught the biggest snake of my life in the Florida Everglades. Look at the size of that thing.
Holy fuck.
I mean, first of all, that guy's got balls. And what a grip he must have. to
Where's
be able
the
to hold
rest
onto
of
that thing. The rest of it, I don't know.
dude,
There it is.
people who love snakes love
Jesus,
snakes.
Look at the size of it.
Like cat lovers. Maybe there's like snake plasmosis.
Fuck, look how big that thing is.
Oh my god.
And these things eat like a whole deer. They'll eat a whole deer. Look at that thing. So he threw it into a pit.
I'm going down there.
Oh my God, this guy's crazy.
You just said there's killer bees in there too.
Oh my God. Why not piranhas? It should be everything. Oh, he just
Holy
grabs it by its tail.
fuck.
This guy's insane. You are fucking insane. Are you out of your fucking mind?
What is he in? What is that?
It's like a pit with a snake. That's like how he retrieves the snake. He has to go into the pit where they've captured this snake and where they're holding it up.
Wait, they built the pit just to catch the snake, or is that like
I don't know. It looks like it.
It's like a billionaire escape pod.
Is that where a snake just was? Is it like a drainage thing? Or is it where they store the snake?
Yeah. Well, his name is Iguana Man. I think he was brought out to get that.
So look
somewhere.
at this. He gets it all the way to the end and then just fucking snatches it by the head. This guy's a savage.
He's got a UFC shirt on.
Of course he does. Probably does jujitsu.
Jesus.
Look how he grabbed that snake. He's just holding it by, like, bitch, you're mine.
Oh yeah, look, he's got a table on the table.
Holy fuck.
Oh, that's twice as long almost.
Look at that one. That's goddamn insane that something that size is just swimming around in Florida. And there's a shit ton of them.
Fucking hell, man. When I lived in this house that was rat infested,
God damn it, man.
we would poison the rats, and then they would get like loopy and come out and start walking around with like blood coming from their mouth.
Oh,
and
Jesus Christ.
I would just go to my room and like hide in my room. Usually Dan would be the one to pick them up. But remember that time you picked up the rat that was like, I mean, he picked it up in a newspaper, and the nose and the tail. I mean, that thing was
It's
like
like a taco.
it was, dude. It was like
taco.
3 feet long. It was so huge, 2.5 feet long.
You ever see how small the holes are that they can get
oh my
through?
God, man!
That's what's weird. They can compress their body and get into these really tight areas. That's how they can travel through pipes and shit. Like, they really do pop up out of people's toilets sometimes. I mean, that's not a fake thing, I don't think. I think that's actually happened. God, I hope that's happened. How's that happened? Let's find out. What do you think?
My mom used to always tell us about that.
Yeah, a rat's gonna pop out. That was always the big myth. Is it real? Oh my God, there's a rat. A rat could really wriggle up your toilet.
I always wear a cup when I sit down in the toilet.
Stop rats from getting into your toilet. Make sure that you leave no food or attractants in the drain. Make sure all entry points and drains are sealed. And consider placing a drain valve on drains to stop rats from entering the home and thereby getting in the toilet. So that's real. Rats in your fucking toilet. You imagine, middle of the night, got to take a shit.
I can imagine it. I spent the night. My dad had this friend that lived in D.C. We used to go visit him for like spring break and shit. And he had a hot tub and like a rec room on the basement floor. And my brother and I were spending the night there. And I was 16 or something like that. And I woke up and I felt something move. And I thought his dog was like fucking with my pillow. And I got up and the dog wasn't there. And the pillow started moving across the floor. And I was like, what the fuck? And I lifted up the pillow and there was a giant fucking rat. I was so fucking scared.
Jesus Christ.
We were, I ran upstairs and never went back in that room. But he found that rat like dead actually inside. He had a drum set down there. It curled up in a kick drum and kicked the bucket.
Jesus.
But after that was they get poisoned. They get like loopy and they start walking towards you.
They also get out and they kill owls that way. Because the people that poison the rats go out and the owls kill them, and then the owls get sick and die.
Yeah, I don't use the poison. I just use the cats now around my house. But my house in Nashville, too, there's so many owls. I felt like I never saw an owl as a kid. I see owl every day.
They are one of the weirdest, represented animals, the way we represent them, as this wise creature in the woods that would answer questions and have solutions to puzzles. Well, what they really are is a ruthless fucking killer that flies at night and snatches other birds right out of their nest.
It's surreal when they fly over you because you can't hear them. And
yeah,
if you see one during the day and you make eye contact with them, they look like they're not expecting to be caught.
Do you know that story, the staircase?
No.
There's this. Do you know the story? It was about a man was accused and sent to jail for killing his wife, but she had talon marks on her head, and now they think that she got hit by an owl outside the house because there was blood, her own blood, on the stairs and leading up into the house, and then she fell down a flight of stairs. And the thought was initially that this guy had did it to his wife. But now the new theory is that a fucking owl hit her because they found microscopic owl feathers in her hair. And they think that's consistent with the kind of injury that she would have had and that she had lost some blood and came in the house all fucked up and fell down a flight of stairs.
He's fucked. If that's all his defense came up with.
But I think they actually found the cut. No, I think owls do that to people. I think owls
freaky.
get other birds will whack you in the fucking head,
Yeah, they're freaky, man.
They've woken me up in the middle of the night, making noise, hunting. I hear them in my yard.
If you're annoying and
They're humongous.
yeah, their fucking heads are beautiful too, aren't they?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're dude. Like I said, I feel like I never saw one, but now I live just right outside of the city, just in right near this big park, and dude, I see the big ass owls. What are the great
Horned
Oh my
something,
God,
I
dude,
think.
they're fucking massive.
They're beautiful.
Like this big.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
When you see one clearly, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's almost like I shouldn't even be looking at you. How am I looking at you?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be hiding, bro.
When they turn their head,
Creepy.
fucking insane.
There's a great video. Have you ever seen the night vision video of a hawk nest? There's these hawks in the nest, and you see this owl come out of the distance and just snatch one of the hawks right out of the nest. Can you get that? It's one of my favorite
Never
nature
seen that.
videos because it took. I don't remember when I realized that birds kill other birds, but it was post-internet. I never remember being taught that in school. Watch this shit. I didn't know they eat each other. Watch this shit. Boom! Snatch!
Gotcha, bitch.
I mean, the kind of force that it takes to do that, if someone hit you in the head like that and you were
What kind of bird
coming
is
back
that?
from your, I think that's a hawk.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not
Yeah.
like a pigeon or something. It's
No, it's a fairly
fucking hawk.
good-sized animal, and this bird just fucks him up.
My
It just
stepdaughter,
swings away with him.
God damn, it's like
my
went to the
stepdaughter,
drive-thru.
she knows. She's like a bird fanatic, so it's cool because when we're like going for a walk or something, she'll know like, she can tell like if it's a falcon, because it has some sort of weird tail. But it's kind of crazy, the amount of species of birds that live like in Nashville. It's kind of, I think it's also Charleston's famous for it because Audubon lived there. And that's why that what's that elusive, or it's this extinct, the ivory-billed woodpecker. What is it?
Ivory-billed woodpecker.
What is it? There's a woodpecker that no one's seen since the 30s that people are always trying to say that they've seen. It's this big fucking woodpecker. Yeah.
Ooh, look at that thing.
So there's this place south of Charleston called the Ace Basin. It's this where three rivers connect, and it's like hundreds of thousands of wetland that's protected. There's so many bird species down there, but I guess occasionally someone will say that they've seen this thing, but it hasn't been seen since the 30s.
I never saw an eagle until I went to Alaska. I saw a bald eagle a few years back. I remember looking at that thing going, that's our national animal. How the fuck? How did we pick that thing? Like, they're majestic flying assassins.
Didn't it almost get taken out because of DDT? Didn't it?
I don't know what almost got them, but I think lead gets them too. Some of them die from lead poisoning because, like, say someone shoots an animal and doesn't recover it, and they find the lead pellets, so they'll eat the animal and they'll get lead poisoning. That happened in the condors too. It's like lead ammunition they're trying to get rid of in some states. California has already outlawed it.
Well, I just saw this thing that basically everybody alive between like 1940 and now has some significant lead poisoning because of the additive of lead to gas. So if you're born before 85, there still was a lot of leady gas. In fact, some countries, they're still using leady gas somewhere in Africa until this year.
Wow.
But I guess lead is actually, it's not as common as you would think as far as being, it all stemmed from this guy. He was trying to figure out the half-life of some uranium or something, and there was like this lead everywhere. He realized that no matter what he did to his laboratory, that there was lead on everything, contaminated lead. And then he realized that the whole world is contaminated with lead, and that trillions of IQ points have been lost over the last over the human population from everybody having lead poisoning.
From leaded gas.
We'd all be a little bit smarter if it weren't for this lead. And they knew that it was bad. They named, instead of calling it leaded gas, they named it ethyl, not ethanol. They called it ethyl, and it raised the octane, it supercharged the gas. He created one substance prior that it made him stink so bad that he had to live in a different house. His wife almost divorced him because he smelled like shit, couldn't get it out. And then a couple years later, he realized, if I just put a little bit of lead in this gas, it's the octane's because the engines were all knocking back then because they were not getting enough high enough octane. So yeah, he fixed it with lead, and it just accidentally just poisoned the whole world.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Holy shit! I never even put those two together. I never knew that leaded and unleaded gas meant actual lead.
Yeah.
I never even thought about it, honestly. I didn't even know. I just go, what kind do I need? That kind. What's the good one? 93? Okay.
They put lead in everything back then.
That's
Paint.
crazy. The paint one's a big one, right? Little kids that ate paint. That was always the thing. Kids would make fun of kids in school.
Dude, my friend's mom bought this Victorian house, and she's told all the kids that lived there. We were all in our mid-20s. She said, if you guys paint the house, you can live there for free this summer. So they all decided to scrape and paint the house, and after a couple of weeks, the cat died.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
What the fuck? And then they realized that they all had lead poisoning.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah. But
You
dude,
have to send
I remember
professionals in hazmat suits for that shit.
I definitely
Lead and asbestos.
I got hired to do this to work at this old theater built in the 20s in Akron. I got hired to oversee it getting renovated. And dude, when I think back about that time, this is right before we started the band, dude, there's just asbestos everywhere in there. And there's no respirator.
It's all over Akron.
Dude, everywhere. I was like, this can't be safe. But
They used to have it in the basements of buildings on the pipes.
dude, yeah.
Like when I wrestled in high school, I was like, did they check these fucking pipes for asbestos? Is
Fuck
it
no.
illegal?
Fuck no. It's
Probably
everywhere.
not, right?
It's in all the tile. It's everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, right? There's a lot of those chemicals they find, like fucking.
That's a naturally occurring thing, asbestos.
Is it
You
really?
mine it. Yeah, it's like a fiber, natural fiber.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
But is it cancerous? Is the idea that it has to be sealed up or something like that for it to be effective, or does it like get in the air?
The
Like, what
fibers,
happens with it?
it gets into the lining of your abdomen, and it causes inflammation until it causes cancer. Yeah, I think that's how it works. I'm not a doctor, but I know that there's asbestos mines and stuff like in Canada.
When I was a kid, I got a lot of construction jobs, and one of them I had to insulate a roof, like crawl in the attic in the crawl space, and use what is that shit called? That insulation.
Panther.
Yeah, that stuff. What is it? What's
Fiberglass.
Fiberglass insulation. You get it everywhere. It'd be in your skin.
Oh, yeah.
Like
It's
everywhere.
the
You'd
worst.
just be fucking sweating up there because it was hot, and then the fiberglass would get in your skin. It would just stick to you. It was just in your. You like itchy. Everything was itchy. And like if you're breathing that in, like how bad is that for you?
Dude, when we were making this record, we were listening to the Jerky Boys one day.
Those guys.
that skit where he's like, "Hey, Jerky," he's like, "You guys fuck with asbestos? Or what did he say? You fuck with insulation? I eat the shit. Put mustard on it, I eat the shit." Fucking amazing, dude.
Jerky Boys were incredible.
Dude, so
People
fucking
forgot. People forgot how funny those. They were the original like famous prank call guys.
Amazing.
They still hold up too. Some of those sketches are
good.
fucking
Dude,
hilarious.
I think they might even be funnier now, like, especially like in post cancel culture. Like,
Right.
dude, the one where he calls as the Middle Eastern dude that just got molested by the dentist. I mean, it's fucking insane. He's like, "I wake up, my pants unbuttoned."
They did a couple of movies too, I think.
Yeah,
Didn't they do the Jerky Boys movies where they had to like save the world by prank calling people? It's something like that.
dude, I got way into prank calls for a while.
Yeah.
I had a couple good ones. I was calling like KFCs, and then I would be like, "Hey, I'm calling from corporate. We just sent our secret taster out there. I'd like to talk to the manager, get the manager on the phone." Be like, "So the taster said everything was great, but it could only taste like 10 of the herbs and spices. So have you been storing the mix on like a aluminum rack in the back?" You just get really confusing. They're like, what? I was like, because the 11th herb and spice is actually, it's a caustic chemical if it comes in contact with metal. It just confused the shit out of the manager. And then I would call back because I feel bad because like I would have the people moving the bags of mix and shit. And I call back, "Did you just get a call from corporate?" And like, "Yeah, like, that's actually Popeyes. We've been one step behind them all day. Been fucking with us all day." I call I do the same thing at like Olive Garden and be like, "So I need you to go into the cooler and remove the word Iran from the breadstick box. We've broken the trade embargo." And they're like, "What? Where is it?" It's on the back. You need to go.
Did you record these?
I have them recorded. Yeah, there's one.
Have
that
you
was,
ever released them?
It's
We
like
pranked a record label one time, Warner Brothers.
we pranked our
None
record
Such.
label. They're like our record label. None Such puts out a lot of like new age music, so we called as a new age band. We had like wind chimes going, and our name of the band was like Quartzazium or something. We got through to like everybody, and then
Yeah.
dude, the best prank call though I did was. This is actually the last time we played SNL. I just didn't want to go out in New York. I was like nervous about like partying, getting sucked into a party. So like, stay at the hotel and just prank call people. So I just prank called a bunch of people, and I got on Craigslist and I searched for Egyptian artifact, and I found something for sale. It's an ancient Egyptian artifact. This guy actually in Texas, like near Waco. So I call him and it just goes straight to voicemail, and I leave a message. I say, "Hey, this is Dr. So-and-so from the National Museum of Canada. I'm trying to get in touch with you about this artifact." And his voicemail specifically said, like, "I will not respond to blocked calls or, whatever." I called back, left another message, and then my brother was there. My brother called. He's like, "I'm so-and-so's assistant. I've been trying to get in touch with you." So finally, like, we keep making prank calls, but we keep touching back on this dude. And I call, and finally he answers, he's like, "I know who this is." I was like, good. I've been waiting to get in touch with you. You have something that we really need. And dude, this phone call lasted 40 fucking minutes.
Oh
and
my
I
God.
tell him, I was like, this item that you have is something that we've been looking for decades. We've been building a pyramid in the center of Canada for the last 100 years. We're nearing completion, and when we get your artifact, we will be able to energize this pyramid. Are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with a total shift in global dynamics? And are you comfortable with some people it resulting in total enslavement of certain populations? And the dude was like, hell yeah, I am. Fuck Obama.
Oh my God.
And I was like, dude, here's how it works. Because we're a government organization, I have to offer you $50. You can counteroffer with any number. But this dude's like so confused by what I'm saying. I was like, would you accept $50 for this item? He's like, hell yeah. And I just like lose it laughing and hung up the phone. But dude, like the buildup was so intense. But dude, it's just fucking. But that's the shocking
Are
thing.
you gonna release those?
I'll send them to you.
Please do.
Yeah.
And if someone steals them from my phone, is that a problem?
That's not a problem.
If it gets leaked out into the great.
No, I'll send them to you. But I was talking to a friend of mine who's like he just does like counseling and does assessments of people's intelligence for prisons and stuff. And this person was basically saying that, like, a higher percentage of the population than you think are just complete idiots. And no one really acknowledges it, but like, apparently I got in touch with one of them for that prank call. But I think, they were saying that, the average IQ in like prison is like way lower than you would think. And that most people who end up in prison, they might have lead poisoning or something.
Holy shit.
They might. But then that becomes way scarier, that like people are in prison not because they've chosen to be a criminal, but because they just
Can't think straight.
can't think straight.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Listen, I would imagine there's some kind of impact that all that shit has on in the environment and how it affects human biology. It's not good.
You start mixing like just someone that's just an idiot with like, methamphetamines or drugs and
Right.
yeah.
And then there's dudes who just unfortunately get born with dull brains. Their brains just don't work good.
Yeah.
I've met people like that. It just sucks.
Have you seen this? I started watching this documentary on Netflix about this chick that had a vegan restaurant.
I heard about it. I heard it's insane.
Well, I had to stop watching it after the second episode because my wife and I were watching it. But she owns this vegan restaurant called Pure Food and Wine, it was like at Union Square in New York. And like she starts dating this guy who's basically convincing her to wire him money like every day, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that soon that they will be immortal and that her pit bull will live forever. I was like, what the fuck? What the
So this guy scammed her? That's the story?
But honestly, she might deserve to have been scammed if she believed this shit. It's fucking insane. But yeah, I don't know what happened. I had to stop watching it because it was like how she kept sending this guy money, and he kept talking about how they were gonna live forever.
People get sucked into stupid shit, man. It doesn't seem to be that hard to get them either. There's plenty of people that get sucked into stupid shit.
Yeah. Dude, I got really obsessed with that Peter Popoff guy. He's like a TV evangelist who got caught like scamming people. He would have like a wire in his ear, and someone would read, like they'd ask everybody that came into his like revivals, like, what's your name, what's your age, what's your ailment, why are you here? And then, these people wouldn't think twice about putting it on a card, and then he would say, is there someone here, named,
Isabel.
Sharon? Do you have a sick parent or whatever? And like, people would watch this, just send this guy tons of money, man. He made millions of dollars. Then he got busted, and now he's back on. You can find him on like infomercials. He's selling holy water. Like he sells you holy water if you give him money, and also it helps. Like his thing's all like, he has a lot of people on there who are like, oh yeah, I gave the mission, $100, and then I won the lottery. Because his whole thing is like Jesus will give you, rewards if you donate now.
Even if you're broke.
Yeah, he's driving around in a Porsche,
That's how you're going to get your money. You got to give up all your money, and then Jesus is going to give back to you
And
tenfold.
that's essentially what this guy was doing on the vegan thing. He was like, give me this money, and then you're going to get $100,000 a month for the rest of your life, and you'll be immortal.
People want to believe stupid shit. I got super fascinated with that story of that woman, Elizabeth Holmes, who made that Theranos company, where they developed like a blood test that didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Just takes your finger prick and it scans you for like a bunch of different diseases, but apparently it didn't work.
No.
It's a wild fucking story. It's like listening to the amount of people that invested and the amount of money they invested, like big time people.
Oh, yeah.
Put hundreds of millions of dollars into this.
Yeah.
And now it's all just vaporware. It's nothing. And now she's on trial.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen different people fall for tons of different shit.
Well, that's how cults get started. Like the cults where they brand you. Like there's a certain amount of people that want to belong so badly. Or I wonder if it's also people with lead poisoning, or I wonder if it's also people who are medicated.
Well,
Maybe all the above.
I mean, making bad decisions based on what other people think. You think what other people think you should do. I think it's pretty common.
Super common.
I mean, when we started the band, there was definitely decisions that we were making based on what we thought other people thought we should do.
Right.
At one point, we got offered, to put a song in a mayonnaise commercial in the UK. We were, keep in mind, like we might have had a couple $100 in our bank account. We were destitute, and we didn't have, there was no other like lifeline. It was like this was our livelihood, and we were convinced fully by someone who was working with us as a manager that if we took that money and we had a song in that commercial, that we would be branded as sellouts and that we would no longer have a career.
Jesus Christ.
And so we didn't. And then we eventually learned to
It was like we were brainwashed.
We were brainwashed.
Because we were making records by ourselves in our basement, like on absolutely no budget.
Well, this guy lived in like a multi-million-dollar house in like a big major city, and he was the one telling us what, it was just like, ay. But yeah,
Is that a real dilemma? Like for when an artist gets an offer to sell a song for something like hot dogs, but it's a shitload of money. What is the thought process that happens?
It seems like it was a thing when we started. It doesn't matter at all anymore. It doesn't
really?
seem like it.
So no one cares anymore when it happens.
think
They
so.
shouldn't care when it happens. It doesn't make it. It's not. It doesn't ruin the original song.
Unless you have, I think certain songs were ruined by commercials. Like,
Oh, if they make a parody of it.
I heard it through the grapevine. I think was
Oh, that's a rough one.
there's a problem there. Although I love the song still, but
Yeah,
I think
that's true though. You do now have to think about the grapes dancing around.
Yeah.
I don't think about the grapes, man.
Good for you. Thank you. I'm glad you're there.
Well, I don't really either. I think as long as you're comfortable with it. But yeah, we were definitely convinced multiple times. One thing we were told not to do was, it was a Kate Moss jewelry commercial. We were told not. It was like Kate Moss like dancing around scantily clad, and we were told once again like we'd be a sellout for doing that, and we didn't. Or our manager had passed on it without asking us, and I was like, what the fuck, huh, dude?
I've done a total 180 after you brought up the grapes. No, I agree. Yeah, it can fuck up a song, I guess. I didn't think it could. I didn't think like selling it to a commercial could, and then I thought about the grapes. I'm like,
It's just, I think it's not so much the commercial as much as that commercial was omnipresent. It was overexposure. Hearing a song enough will make it a hit song. I think.
Right.
I'm convinced you could put any song, pipe it through every Walgreens, and it's going to become a hit.
How about that really big cock song?
Absolutely.
You can see people dancing to the aisle.
Yeah.
Dum, 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 dum.
You could definitely in France or somewhere where they don't speak English. That like it'd be like, oh, do you hear that cock song?
Well, what makes a hit today? Because of the fact that radio is not the big driver anymore. What is the biggest driver of record sales or of streams? Of like, how do people find out about stuff now? Most.
I mean, there's this kind of punk garage rock musician who goes by the name King Khan on the Barbecue Show. He actually has the second most TikToked song right now, which is amazing. For him. So I don't know if that, but I don't know. I don't think any of those like analytics work anymore to determine what's happening. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on.
How does someone? But how does, like, say if you're an artist and you're talented, how the fuck does it get out there?
That's what we've wondered. I don't know, but you know what's interesting to me is how many musicians are selling like their publishing. If we're always told like, oh yeah, record sales are, no one's buying records, but then you see like these people selling their publishing for like 150 million, 500 million. Bruce Springsteen just sold everything for $500 million. Yeah.
He wants a submarine, son.
He wants that submarine. Well,
he wants that submarine.
Hey, there's
money.
a lot of inflation. He's not getting shit now.
He's gonna be up there dressed like Tonetta, just dancing on his fucking giant yacht. $500 million is a crazy amount of money. But I guess, you know, what is Bruce Springsteen, like in his 60s somewhere, right?
I don't know. My friend said he's the only working class hero who wants to be known as the boss.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. He had a podcast with Obama for a while.
Yeah. That's some St. Bart shit.
Yeah, right? That's some Bohemian Grove shit.
Yeah.
But the St. Bart's thing, don't you think like all those like super ballers, they're the only people that will understand them as other super ballers? And so they have to meet somewhere like a super ballers club?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. That when you get into that oligarch realm of uber wealth and you have a $1.6 billion yacht, you probably don't have a lot of peers, you know?
Yeah, I don't
Who's
know.
gonna?
I definitely felt like we were like the court jester for like the week. You know, like.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And like we played our music. It was fine. People were cool. But it wasn't. But it was, the weird thing was just looking out at the harbor there and seeing that there were like literally hundreds and hundreds of these
Super
huge.
yachts.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Did you see any eyes wide shut type shit?
There were definitely, you know what? I smoked, Rihanna was there. And she was like, do you want to hit this joint? She handed me the joint and I was like, I don't really smoke weed. She's like, she forced it, like not forced, but she's like, here, try it. And I took my hit and she just started laughing at me because she knew what was about to happen to me. And I just was like,
You have to say yes if Rihanna
I
says, do you want to smoke weed?
definitely said yes.
You have to.
Definitely got really high. And it wasn't as, you know, I should have freaked out a little bit more considering, but it was cool. But yeah, it was like that. That's what it was. It was really bizarre.
So when all those very wealthy people and famous people get together, are they having fun at all, or do they still seem uptight altogether?
Everybody seemed chill. There's definitely a lot of like girls who were flown in there to hang out, Epstein style or whatever.
Damn.
There were girls around. Yeah.
I guess that's the ultimate form of keep up with the Joneses, right? To have that kind of wealth and have a yacht and multiple yachts. Like some of these guys, they're on their one yacht and they're trying to hide their second yacht, and they've already, you know, confiscated one, and they're going after the second one. So they have to cruise it around in it.
Well, yeah, like I think, yeah, like they're constantly upgrading to get that big yacht.
So is the idea that all these oligarchs,
The spaceship is the new yacht.
It's not just oligarchs. It's like literally David. I
think
think David Geffen has like the second or third biggest yacht on Earth.
Really?
And he had the fourth. He had to get it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the Steve Jobs yacht? He had a yacht that looked like a fucking Apple store. It really did. It looked like it was an Apple store floating around. Like you're like, oh yeah, of course that's Steve Jobs. It's really, see you find that. It's pretty cool looking. It's the coolest looking yacht I've ever seen. But I think that's what those people feel like they have to do. They get to that level of wealth. It's just, you know, you hear Mike got a 196-foot yacht.
Dude, we need to show up with like a 400-foot party barge.
You know, you need to show up with one of those Mississippi River boats.
Oh yeah.
You know,
There's one of those in Nashville that works.
Those things are cool as fuck.
They're amazing.
Is that it?
I don't know. I'm asking. Like, I feel like it was different.
I think that's it. I think that's it.
It looks like Apple.
I think that's it. Doesn't it look like an Apple store?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And it's beautiful, and it's all run by IMAX. Like the screens inside are all IMAX.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I would be so fucking annoyed. Just trying to shut the blinds. It's like, what is going on?
In there. It's just that world is a fucking strange world. Helicopter pads and swimming pools and now these guys are the whole.
Does that yacht come with that U2 record on it?
You can't get rid of it. Was that a bad move? It was a bad move, right? To do that. Like you don't want to force your music on someone that way, right?
I don't know. We would. I'd be happy to be on that Manuel Noriega playlist.
Oh, the one that they blasted at him when he was in Panama when they're trying to extract him.
Dude, someone compiled it on Spotify. I downloaded it. It's
Really?
every song that they blasted at Noriega. I'm like, dude, it'd be cool to like get on that list. The CIA's like annoyance list.
What kind of bands were on there?
Dude, it's very chaotic, which is I think why it was so effective. It's got like everything from like Frank Sinatra, I think, to Van Halen.
Didn't they have like animal noises too? Did they play like wild noises?
Here it is.
Here we got.
Billy Joel.
We got another thing coming from Judas Priest. Nice. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. All Over But the Crying. Georgia Satellites. All I Want Is You. U2. Big Shot. Billy Joel. Blue Collar Man from Styx. Born to Run. Bruce
Cleaning up the
Springsteen.
town.
Do you think this offended the artists when they found out, like Kenny Loggins, when he found out that Danger Zone from Top Gun original soundtrack was on the fucking
Let's try to figure out what song it was
playlist?
that played when he just came out. Like, fuck this, I can't take it.
What do you think?
Could be
New
that.
Kids on the Block, Hanging Tough. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm a closet Heavens on Fire fan. I love that Kiss song.
I
Look
fought
at-
the law.
Iron Man, Black Sabbath. Wow, a lot of fucking songs. That's not a bad fucking. Midnight
dude.
Rider, the Allman Brothers.
Dude,
That's a
that-
great goddamn song.
That Ecstasy song, and there's pretty hip choice. But
Interesting. So
I
this-
love Midnight
dude,
Rider. Such a good song.
Rick Astley just started following me on Instagram. I don't know what it means, but
means he likes your music.
yeah.
What do you think it means?
I don't know.
What do you
I'm about to get, maybe it's not really him. I'm about to get like Rick rolled. I'll send him a DM, yeah.
Imagine that, like the dude just becomes a part of a thing that they do to you. You click on links. Him and the guy with the giant hog that's like sitting on the edge of the bed. That they would always, like send you some link about some breakthrough discovery. Like, whoa, what is this guy? Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Him and the Rick Roll thing.
Dude, you know what we were thinking about the other day? Just about that Geraldo Rivera special.
Which one?
The one from the mid 80s when
Oh yeah,
we all,
Al Capone's tomb.
it's one of my earliest like TV memories. When my dad was like, because somehow at 6 years old, I knew who Al Capone was. We're like, we're going to watch Al Capone's tomb get opened up. And dude, that was like the ultimate Rick roll. Everybody watched that
It was
shit.
so stupid. It was like he crawled through and there was nothing in there.
Yeah.
And they did it all live.
Absolutely nothing.
Geraldo had
Dude,
a
we should
gorgeous head
have
of hair, though.
We
Look at
should
that
have known
hair.
when this aired. We should have known that we're just
You
all
know,
being fucked with.
Geraldo was the guy who put the Kennedy assassination on television.
The Zapruder
with
tape?
Dick, yeah, with Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory brought it to
That's the
Geraldo.
first time it
yeah,
aired?
it's the first time it ever
Wow.
aired. Like more than a decade after the assassination.
Wow.
Yeah.
That tape's crazy, man.
Yeah. It's nuts. I had Oliver Stone in here, and he was explaining. Oliver Stone is balls deep
Yeah.
in the JFK conspiracy. I mean, balls deep. He can quote you different hearings that were held, where the evidence was acquired, why the timeline's wrong, and the way they printed into the evidence sheet, and how this guy couldn't have been there because he was 3 hours away, and he can just rattle it off to you, and the man's obsessed with it. This is decades after he made a movie about it.
He's
It's
still
like
there.
being on tour with Pat in the minivan.
Did you get into that at all? Did you ever get into the JFK assassination?
When I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Around that time, the Oliver Stone movie came out. But I think it's weird that like now isn't like somehow like Woody Harrelson's father and Ted Cruz's father kind of implicated somehow. Like
Woody Harrelson's father was definitely implicated.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson's father was a bad dude.
Yeah.
And they say that he was one of the guys that was in the grassy knoll. That was the rumor.
Right.
That Woody Harrelson's father, I think he was I think he was convicted of some violent offense. What did Woody Harrelson's dad do?
Convicted of assassinating a federal judge.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's not outside the realm of possibility. It's a guy who got
Dude,
convicted of assassinating a judge.
there's this legendary DJ in England who he passed away in 2004, but his name was John Peel, and he had this cool program that he would have bands come and record their songs, and it called a Peel session. And we were lucky enough to get to meet him and be on a show like 3 or 4 times, all very early in our career. And he actually died of a heart attack after climbing Monte Picchu. But the first time we hung
Jesus
out with him, he was like, I was there when Jack Ruby shot Oswald. He was one of the press guys covering it. He was like, it was so surreal. And every time I watched that footage, I was looking for John Peel. If he was there, but I mean, how fucking crazy is that? That they were allowed. He was able to get to him, shoot him. I mean, it's pretty safe.
Just run right up on him.
Dude, it's nuts.
Yeah, and then, he went crazy after that. He's also a part of the LSD thing.
shit.
Yeah. Jolly West visited him in jail. And afterwards, he was inconsolable, lying on the ground, curled up, talking about people getting burned alive.
They dosed him in prison, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that guy was, whatever. They probably told him, if you whack Ruby, we'll take care of some debt that you owe or something like that. Who knows? Or if you whack Oswald, we'll take care of some debt. And he did it in front of the whole fucking world. Walked up to Oswald and shot him while he's being held by cops. And it's nuts.
Dude, imagine the conspiracies that would be happening if that video wasn't running then.
Right, right. If you couldn't see it on film, the guy just run up to Lee Harvey Oswald and just shoot him in the stomach. And then the guy has all these ties to the mob, and he goes fucking completely loony in jail. And he's dead a short amount of time later. He's dead from cancer.
Yeah, within 4 or 5 years.
They probably just fucking... What causes cancer?
Polonium.
Just laying around, just fucking...
Polonium-238, whatever it is. What do they use in the Russian guys?
Oh, I don't know.
I think that's what it is. They hit him.
They poisoned a lot of them, right? But people have been, Putin's enemies have been assassinated openly.
It's like a lead isotope, I think, or it's polonium-238. It's like a little micro... Like, apparently, I read that, like, a lot of lung cancer from smoking, actually, it comes from long-term dosage of little bits of polonium, because it actually, small amounts end up in fertilizer. So you smoke the fucking tobacco, little bits accumulate in your lungs, and it can cause, like, it's like carbon radiation in your lungs.
Really? Where'd you read this?
Dude, I didn't graduate college, so don't, like...
I barely got through high school.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But
that sounds really good.
It sounds fucking good. Print it.
Well, people have always wondered about that with, like, Roundup. Like that glyphosate stuff. Then, like, if that gets onto crops, and even if it's washed off, like, how much of that gets into your body? Is it an insignificant amount? Is it okay in small doses? Or is it never okay?
My grandpa died from... He was like a handyman and would do lawns and stuff like that. And he used to mix the fertilizer in the water with his hand every day.
Oh, my God.
Dude, he got cancer throughout his whole body.
Just can imagine.
Yeah.
I've heard a bunch of horror stories about dudes golfers.
For years he did that.
Oh.
Golfers who keep teas in their mouth. Because, like, right where you put your tea, like, there's people always dumping, like, the grass fertilizer mixture. It's just all heavy metals. And, like, people who've been golfing for a long time hit their ball, put their tea in their mouth to get, like, lip cancer, gum cancer.
Oh, fuck. Really?
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's horrible.
That's crazy.
But it makes sense. I knew a dude who lived next to a golf course, and he got bone cancer. And they had to replace his thigh bone with his femur with a chunk of metal, like an artificial metal bone.
Dude.
And a bunch of people in his neighborhood got cancer, and they traced it to pesticides in the golf course leaking into the water supplies.
Oh, for sure. This dude we grew up with, he got bone cancer, like, in his knee when he was in his mid-20s. And, the doctor, he had this one doctor finally was like, dude, like, we're going to do a panel, like, on you for heavy metals, because this is really strange. And he had, like, large doses of cadmium or something in his bones. And he's like, man, did you, like, grow up near, like, a gold mine or something? He's like, no, man. And then he was talking to his mom about it. His mom's like, actually, we lived on a commune when you were a baby for, like, a year in Colorado that used to be a gold mine. So, like, they were drinking this water where they had already filtered in all the heavy metals, and apparently he got, like, some serious dosage of some rare earth shit.
Wow.
That's what I wonder about, like, with all the, I mean, like I said, I never went to college really, but I wonder, like, how, with all the electric vehicles and, like, getting all these rare earth minerals together, all this lithium and cadmium and these batteries, like, I don't know. Wonder what happens. eventually to that shit.
Well, the weird thing is that people want to say it's zero emission. This idea that that's the solution, that's going to fix it for us if we all have electric cars, because you got to have to power that electricity. Until we figure out how to make clean electrical power, you're not. I mean, if you have clean electrical power, like if it's like modern nuclear and it works really well, and it's relatively less toxic. I mean, you have some nuclear waste that they have to dispose of, but apparently they're pretty good at that now. And if they can make a reactor that can function and not go down, if they can do that, that's clean. And then you have an electric car, and then you're clean. But otherwise, you have to find some way to make that fucking power to juice up that battery. So it's like, how are you juicing up that battery? Because you're still using up a lot of power to do that. So where's the power coming from? So if it's coming from a place that's sustainable, if it's electric and it's coming from the wind and turbines and fucking solar panels, great. That's awesome. That seems perfect. But what if it's coming from a coal plant? Like, hey, the fuck? This is the opposite of good. Like, those fucking places, like, I had a climate scientist on. He was talking about this area in Indiana that has like a bunch of coal-fired power plants in the area. Oh, yeah. And these people, they just have like a thin layer of this shit on their car every day. Like this dust that's in the air.
Where we're from in Akron, Ohio, it was the rubber capital of the world, where they made, like, Goodyear was based there. Goodyear's still based there. Goodyear, Firestone, B.F. Goodrich, General Tire, Kelly Tire, Mohawk Tire. Every tire company was in
We went
Akron.
to Firestone High School.
Yeah, our high school.
How did that happen? How did it become a tire mega?
They just, like, I don't know. Maybe it was I don't know. I don't really know. But that's why my family's there. My grandfather he worked in the R&D. He's vice president of research and development for the polymers of Goodyear, working on, like, figuring out how to keep polymers viscous enough to strand it into like a plastic bottle, essentially. That's what was going on. But my dad said as a kid, like, they would wake up and like the whole city would just be covered in soot. And so when we were starting the band, there was like the cheapest kind of place you could find to be loud was these old rubber factories. And there was this one that we rented a room in. It was an old B.F. Goodrich. No, it was an old General.
Yeah, General.
It was an old General Tire building. And, like, you know, this was like a building that's like 1 million square feet, built in like turn of the century, full of asbestos and whatever else.
Yeah,
and
scary shit.
Scary shit. Like, you would walk up the stairs and I'd be like, oh, that doesn't feel right. You could feel, you know, like you could feel the thick air. And we made a record there, aptly titled "Rubber Factory." A bunch of like geniuses, but it was crazy because there's the old boardrooms, and we had access to this whole abandoned, essentially, building where we would like string microphone cables together, and we'd like set an amp at one side of the room, and then microphone like hundreds of feet away to get the natural kind of reverb. But the craziest thing was, like, around the corner from the area we hung out in, there was this just like exploded laboratory, like straight out of like Rick and Morty or something. It was like, wait, what the fuck is going on in here? There were like eyewash stations, like someone had just like been like blown their face off, and then you'd walk down this scary ass hallway that was just.
Neither of us wanted to be there at night.
It was
scary. So scary.
It was scary, and there's this little, so like there was the more industrial section of the building down at the other end, and there are these holes like through the floor, and this is like foot deep concrete. You could see down that there were like thousands and thousands of tires in like basically like Geraldo's, like Al Capone's vault of tires. There was like this hidden cache of unsold tires from before they just left in the building. And they tore that building down like a couple years ago, and
we used to eat at this diner right across the street from it. What was it called?
It was called the Lamp Post.
And we were the only people in there. We never saw anybody else in there.
Dude, it might have been like a
ghost world.
It could have been a mirage. Ghost world. Like, no one's
been
in
here
here
since
like
the old building's
plant.
not even there anymore.
Yeah.
When
There's-
you go into an area like an industrialized area where the buildings are fucked, like Detroit, when everything's like shattered and you're driving through abandoned lots, and
I mean,
there's something
we came
creepy.
from Akron, which was crazy, but when the first time we went to Detroit, it was so eye-opening.
Whoa.
There's that one building downtown where you just see directly through it because just all the windows are blown out. you
Yeah.
know?
It's a skyscraper.
Yeah.
We didn't know anybody in Detroit, and we were just driving around during the afternoon because we would go to the shows like hours too early just because we didn't know what we were doing, and we end up being in downtown where nobody is, driving around all day long looking at all this destruction, and it was crazy.
Detroit feels like it looks.
And Dan got on stage that night and was like, how do you guys live here or something? And everyone was like, fuck you. Left the room, and we're like,
Yeah, they turned around and just walked away.
It feels like it's a place that used to be like hopping and then got crushed.
Center of the
And is-
universe.
But they do have some comeback now.
yeah, I love
They
Detroit.
have like Shinola.
Oh,
that
hell
company's
yeah!
there.
yeah,
They
yeah.
have a lot of like people that
It's
are
coming
proud
back
of
in a
Detroit.
big way. The buildings are beautiful.
But it's weird having those crushed dreams all around you. Like that's just a weirdness that's
it's the Rust
unavoidable about
Belt,
Detroit.
man. That's how we grew up. All of the cities: Steubenville, Akron, Pittsburgh.
you ever see
know?
Roger and Me? Where
Oh, yeah.
it's
yeah.
great documentary
you're
about
forced
that.
to watch that when you're a kid in Akron. When they're out there like grilling rabbits.
But it's weird how you see it exactly what caused it. You're like, wow, what must that have been like for someone who moved there, moved your family there, and thought like, this is where we live, everything's great, everything's going great, and then companies start pulling out.
That's what we grew up in, because when we were kids, we would go down. My dad would take us. My dad worked for the Akron Beacon Journal, the newspaper, which was this prestigious newspaper started by John S. Knight, who went on to start Knight Ridder, and he had an office there. You know, this is like a legendary newspaper guy, and this was, the newspaper won like Pulitzer prizes, and I just remember like people just getting laid off from there. Us going downtown, and downtown Akron when we were kids, there was a pawn shop and a porn theater. That was what downtown was. The downtown Akron adult cinema. Yeah.
Yeah, I got jumped on Main Street one time, in front of the bar that we play at.
We just played a show and he got his ass kicked. Insane.
But
That whole area used to be one of the richest cities in the country.
That's what was cool for us, because we got to exploit that in terms of musical equipment, because there was such a middle class there in the 60s and 70s
yeah.
that by the time we got into music in the mid 90s, everyone had grown up and sold their instruments. So you go down to like the little music shop and you could find like a vintage Fender guitar for a couple $100. It was like you would find these prizes, and every kid that we knew who got into music had like their prize thing. Like, oh yeah, this guy has like this 1965 Telecaster he got for like $100. We'd all, like, Dan had this cool amp, this old Ampeg Reverb or Ampeg Gemini 1 that was like this magical sounding amplifier he got probably for peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the whole sound of the band for the first two records, really, was that amp.
It's just crazy that one industry could just completely cripple a city if it decides to move out.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty wild that they can just do that. They can just pull the plug on the economics of the city. It's pretty wild that they would do that, too. I wonder if they knew the ultimate result, whether or not they would have done it.
Well, the unions were, the unions were getting kind of crazy. I know that you could.
In what way?
Well, the jobs that it's not crazy, but the demands were high and they were being met until finally they realized they didn't have to meet them. But I know that the work week in Akron at a rubber factory was 36 hours. It was 6-hour days, 6 days a week, and you were basically guaranteed like the equivalent of $70,000 a year out of high school. So it was like amazing. But like they kept raising that, and eventually they first moved down to like the right to work states where like unionizing was nearly impossible. So we're in Nashville now. Ironically, Firestone got bought by Bridgestone, moved to Nashville.
So they had 6 days a week. You were committed to work 6 hours a day.
Yeah,
That was their
the
move.
work week, so they could get more shifts in. The union demanded that, so they could have more workers, pay more union dues.
Did you have to work 6 days a week?
That was the work week, 36 hours, 6 hours. So that way they allowed them to have 4 shifts a day rather than 3.
Man.
So that there are all these cool bars, like when we were kids, that were like abandoned. They were out of business, but they were designed for the workers who got off like at 6 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
How fucking depressing would that be to be stuck in a job like that where you're working 6 days a week?
Making bank though.
So is that the problem? Is that the union workers wanted too much money to make the cars, and that's why they pulled them out?
I don't know. I think it was the unions themselves that were getting overly demanding, But, of course, unions are important, Without it, people get fucked. I know, like, right now, people are trying to unionize Amazon and to watch, like, people are getting fucked trying to do that. But I think that you have to. There's just a fine line, of what... Because there was an out. Those, Goodyear had an out, or Firestone had an out. They could ultimately say, we're going to make this shit in Mexico. And when it was a bipartisan thing that happened. It was Republicans and Democrats both basically fucking the worker who allowed, the companies to leave. And so once those tires were first manufactured in the South, and then they manufactured in Mexico and other places, and it got rid of all the manufacturing jobs, But if they hadn't, I guess tires would be like $1,000 a tire now or something.
Well, no, maybe. But what is going on in these countries where they set up shop? I mean,
no one asked about that. Yeah.
How bad is it fucking up their environment?
Oh, my friend worked for Ralph Lauren, doing signing jeans and stuff. And they did all their dyeing and stuff in Texas or in China. He said it was like fucking so toxic, and like the waste, and he said the conditions of the factories are just so crazy, and like suicide watch on people, and yeah.
That's one of the wildest things, is that all of our phones come from those places. All of our phones that everybody has.
That NBA dude who, he tweeted like some support for Hong Kong, and what was that whole thing? Like a Houston Rockets guy, like a coach or something, like tweeted some like support for Taiwan or Hong Kong or something. When LeBron said he didn't know what he was talking about. Do you remember this?
I do vaguely, but I don't follow basketball, but Jamie follows it closely. Do you remember what happened?
Sort of. I don't really remember exactly what went down.
Well, I do know this. I do know that LeBron, I heard from someone that works with him, I mean, he pulls down tens and tens of millions of dollars a year from Chinese sales of basketball shoes in China. I mean, it's not just the manufacturing, but in China, there's such a huge market there. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean.
Wow. We've seen that in movies, right? They've altered movies. They altered Doctor Strange to change the female, or to change his master, the teacher of magic, was a Tibetan guy in the comic books. They made it a female who was like European.
Right.
Like they just completely changed the whole thing because they don't recognize Tibet.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They were offended by having a Tibetan, which is what it was initially. So they have to like change the scripts of comic books to appease this market that makes them shitloads of money.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking weird, man.
It is weird.
But all of our phones are made there. Like if you think of all of our phones,
and we're ready to do a soundtrack for them too.
Apple, holler at your boy.
I was digging through the gene capital of the world. This picture is crazy. I don't know.
Oh my god!
If it's exactly what it's saying it is, but it might be. It looks like it's gene dye.
Oh,
going through a river and
denim pollution in, how do you say that word? Xinjiang, the blue gene capital of the world. That's fucked.
Yeah, this article said it's so polluted they can't give away houses.
Oh.
That is crazy. Like, is that what it takes to make nice jeans? Like, when people are buying jeans, and they're buying jeans, look at the low cost of these jeans. Is that what we're paying for? Are we fucking poisoning some part of the world instead of just having ethical manufacturing?
I don't know, man. But buying this house in South Carolina, you start realizing, like, how, it's like the first time I've really, seen, like, how extensive slave labor was in the U.S. It's insane.
It's insane.
I mean, like the rice thing, in Charleston back in the day. I mean, fucking hell. They grew a lot of indigo, and dude, I was like fucking crazy to see like what the fuck was going on.
I mean, you want to talk about one of the scariest aspects of human history is that for as long as we can remember, people have been stealing people and forcing people to work for them
Yeah.
from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Slavery's in the fucking Bible. And you talk about slavery. It's just a horrible aspect of human beings that they're capable of doing that to other people.
I was golfing. There's this cool little golf course on Charleston Harbor, and it's just huge shipping container ships, whatever
Right.
whatever they're called. They're giant cargo ships, giant fucking ships coming in. And I was golfing with a buddy of mine who used to be Coast Guard intelligence, and like out of nowhere, he's like, "Oh man, you'd be shocked if you knew how many people were on that boat right now." And I was like, "What do you mean, like the crew?" He's like, "No, dude, in the fucking containers." He's like, dude, it's shocking. He's like, "I bet there's over a dozen people on that boat right now, in those containers."
So there's always people in the containers.
That's what he was saying, dude.
And do they die in there sometimes?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So they just take the risk. How
So-
long is the boat ride?
Well, pre-COVID, it would be a couple weeks, but then shit got, I don't know.
Oh boy! And
Oh,
so no
fuck.
one
I
opened
hadn't
the
even
crates.
thought about
Oh
that.
my God! No one opened the crates because they were stuck at sea and they starved to death in the box.
That's what he was saying.
Holy shit, dude!
I know. Now every time I see one, I'm like, hey, man.
Oh my God! Imagine that's the way you go out, starving to death in a box, waiting to go to a better life.
Fuck that.
Fuck. The shit timing of that. Holy fuck. That's crazy. That's the weird, one of the weirdest things about the world today, right? Is that like the world today that we think of the world today is just right here. Like there's a lot of parts of the world that are fucked sideways. The apocalypse has happened already. It's just not happening right here.
Oh yeah.
But it's
That's what
it's
I
in spots.
When I see, of course on social media, this like people shit talking the United States or whatever. I'm just like, hey, man, like
Go move near where that blue jean factory is fucking changing the river.
I like clearly you haven't traveled enough to know. Like, of course the U.S. is flawed as every place can be, but dude, we're very lucky to have been born in this country, and people are willing to die, sit on a boat for weeks to get here.
Yeah, the amount of opportunity exists here is unprecedented.
Yeah, the people who used to sit on boats for weeks going to China, they would say they got shanghaied. You know about this? The people they would in Portland, Oregon, like they would people at the bar, they would like slip them a Mickey, and they'd have like these trap doors at the bar, and like Spanish fly, open the trap door, boom, they'd wake up, they'd be on a boat to China working, forced, and they call it getting shanghaied.
Whoa.
You never heard about that?
I did hear about
Oh, yeah.
that, but I completely forgot about that term, Shanghai, until you just brought it up.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in years. But I never really put it together that that's what it was.
Yeah.
That was like a real network of like human slavery.
Yeah, forced labor.
China has a crazy history of that.
And here we are bitching about not putting a song in a mayonnaise commercial.
Oh, man. Did you guys write all this stuff during COVID?
Yeah, we both got COVID making the record.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Who was patient zero?
Dan
You
went
give it
down
to him.
first.
I got it first. Hit me for a couple weeks.
Damn.
I had a fever for like 2 weeks.
What time of the year was this? When was this around?
When was that?
You got it it was end of August.
Of this
Yeah.
past year?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the Delta.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
the Delta.
Yeah.
I made him some soup, and he was like, I think I can taste it. This is after like 2 weeks. And I was like, what the fuck? And I got the shit too. My whole family got it.
Did you do any treatments for it?
I tried to. I couldn't get any doctors to help me.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was like the only person that I could really get on the phone to help me was a pharmacist. I was texting directly with pharmacists.
Really?
Yeah.
And the monoclonals were around it. They wouldn't give you
Yeah,
one.
I was trying to get them. I couldn't get them.
Why wouldn't they give them to you?
I don't know. They tried to. One of my doctors who I was with tried to give me some weird. What was that medicine he tried to give me? It was for like some strange. It was for something else.
It was like for high cholesterol.
Yeah, it was a cholesterol medication. He's like, we're not going to give you that monoclonal. I can't do that, but I can give you this cholesterol drug.
We're not going to give you a thing that's going to help you, even though we have it right here.
Yeah.
When has that ever happened before?
Exactly.
When has there ever been a time where you go, the medicine that's going to make me better is right over there? Can I get that? Nope, we can't give
I
it to you.
couldn't get it.
Even
And
though
so
we
I
know
spent
that you
2 weeks with a fever.
I mean, is that a supply issue? What is that?
No, this was early on.
But I mean, is it a supply issue where they want to make sure that the most vulnerable people get it only? And is that what it is, or is this bullshit? Like, what's going on with that?
It couldn't have been supply because, like, in Florida, they were giving it through to people, like, in drive-thrus and shit.
Yeah, Florida was giving it to everybody. My friend Ari got it down there, and they gave it to him. Yeah,
Yeah, I was talking to my friends in Florida, and they'd all gotten it and got treatment and were better really fast.
Florida had a real open policy, and it was all free too. You could just go into these clinics, these monoclonal antibody clinics. I'm pretty sure they're free. They were doing like intramuscular shots.
Yeah, it was eye-opening, to say the least.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got lucky that I got good health care, but I got it in the same time frame as you did, so I got the Delta too.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I just don't like the idea that can happen again.
I lost my
You
smell
know?
for like 8 weeks. It was nuts.
Did you try alpha lipoic acid?
Uh-uh.
Andrew Huberman said that alpha lipoic acid seems to show some promise in alleviating some of the symptoms of not having a sense of smell or taste.
I need to check it out because my smell's still fucked up. It's been-
Really? Still fucked up.
Here and there, yeah.
Yeah, my friend Ryan Sickler, stand-up comedian, he's been like 18 months, no smell.
Dude, the weird thing for me about the COVID was every day I felt like a new and distinct symptom, just like mildly. You know what I mean? Like I felt like the heart palpitations. I felt like the brain fog.
Ooh.
I felt all of this shit. It was nuts.
It's a weird disease.
Yeah.
It's like an alien disease. It feels like it was made in a lab.
It does.
Exactly.
It definitely. I never felt anything like it, and it was bizarre. And also, like, I looked up this, like, how many people, what other diseases cause total loss of smell and taste? And they're like, a sinus infection. Blah, blah. I was like, I've never fucking heard of that. My dad can't smell, and the reason why he can't smell is because he walked into a door and broke his nose, and then the doctor went to correct it and like severed a nerve, and he's never been able to taste since. That's the only person I ever knew who couldn't smell. Is my dad. And you know how the way that the doctor tested my dad's sense of smell is he picked up his ashtray and said, you smell that? He's like, nope. He's like, yeah. I don't think you're going to be able to smell again. But I mean, have you heard of any other diseases that cause that? Yeah,
Never heard
me
of one.
either.
Never heard of one. And it's like so prevalent. I know so many people that lost their sense of smell. It's a creepy ass fucking disease.
I just took the antibody test and mine's still
Alive and kicking.
Strong.
strong.
Well, next time you guys do it, if you get sick again, hopefully it'll be easier. The new version of it seems to be quite a bit milder. But everybody keeps talking about it like it's going to come around again. They're stirring up the flames, stirring up the embers of fear.
I was on a plane when they announced that the mask mandate on planes was gone, and it was really funny to see like how people took to that.
Did they cheer?
Half the people did, and another half like
Full panic.
full panic. I think everybody that had it already was like, "Thank God."
We didn't travel much, and Nashville opened up very early.
Yeah.
It was like there were no masks anywhere, especially when you got right out of the city. No one wore masks.
Same thing as Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's you get outside of Austin, and it's like they didn't care. They acted normal, whether that's good or bad, because a lot of those folks are not that healthy. It's just
That's what was like crushing, like the Nash. Like my friend is a CEO of a hospital near Nashville, and it was all people from outside Nashville with pre-existing conditions taking up all the beds. You know what I mean?
well, a lot of fucking people have pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that this exposed.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bummer, man.
We all have lead poisoning.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. I have a buddy who lived in Brooklyn for a while, and he was trying to grow vegetables in his backyard, but he's a really smart dude, so he dug up the soil and had it tested. It's just filled with lead.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
God.
So they had to figure out how to get the lead out. There's certain plants
To let
that
the
you
lead
can
out.
grow to let the lead out. There's certain plants you can grow that will help extract it from the soil. The plants
Get
actually
the
eat
lid
it.
out.
That-
That's what they'd say on it on
There's
the
a
radio in Northeastern
for
Ohio.
Led Zeppelin.
There's a half-hour show every day when we were growing up called "Let the Lead Out." Just Led Zeppelin for half hour.
Damn.
Yeah.
Rock and roll was so prevalent in Northeastern Ohio.
That's another one.
Just
Imagine being
always
able to
around.
see Zeppelin
Oh my
in their
God.
prime. What that must have been like.
Ugh.
What's the documentary Song Remains the Same? Is that it?
That's like their feature-length films.
Yeah.
I find those band-made films in the 70s impossible to watch.
Yeah?
But they put out a live concert in like 2003 called "How the West Was Won." And like, there's a footage for them at Royal Albert Hall around the same time as that Black Sabbath footage, like 1970, 1969. Oh, it's fucking insane. So good, man.
Yeah, Pat got me into them. I hadn't listened to Led Zeppelin.
Dan never listened to
My
Zeppelin.
dad never played it. I never really heard it too much.
I fucking grew up with Led Zeppelin. I'm white trash from Massachusetts. When I was in high school, that's where I went to high school, and that's where everybody loved Zeppelin. It was just Robert Plant posters on people's walls, and everyone knew how to do the little different insignias
Oh yeah.
and put them on your notebooks.
I had a Led Zeppelin poster on my wall. My friends used to give me some shit about liking Led Zeppelin because it was like classic. It wasn't hip, you know.
Well, you're old. Yeah, you're younger than me. I'm
Yeah.
older than you. When I was a kid, it was just 10 years ago,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. You know, we would listen to even old muscle cars. They were just 20 years ago. Wasn't that long ago.
Oh yeah. I have a '65 Mustang, and I'm constantly thinking about how the car's only 15 years older than me, but it feels like it's
From another era.
from another
Yeah.
era.
It's a wagon. It's like wagon wheels. It's like
Yeah.
so indecipherable. Like what's happening on the road.
Yeah.
It's like you're not getting good feedback at all. You have
No.
idea what's going on.
No
up there.
idea, and it's
Feedback.
just so powerful. Consider how like rickety it kind of feels, how
Yeah.
powerful it is. It's
Ridiculous,
Like, oh my God.
but beautiful. It's like
Yeah.
a rolling piece of art.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's something that would go well with your music, like a '65 Mustang and your music, or a dope '65 Mustang and your music go together nice.
I find a nice 1988 Ford Tempo in our music. Dude, you never see those
That was my
things.
first car. It was a Ford Tempo.
Oh, yeah?
Had a stick shift.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ford Tempo.
You could really let it out, you know.
Dude, those cars did not
I put
last.
12s in the trunk.
Within 10 years, those cars were all dust.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a friend who he used to tell this story, and this is like early 2000s, so the car would only be like 12 years old. He's like, I was merging onto 77, which is like the highway in Akron. He's like, and I swear to God, like a mint condition Mercury Topaz merged on next to me. It was immaculate, and it just took off and just disappeared. But it was like the ghost car, like the immaculate fucking Ford Tempo.
Someone's keeping one well kept in their garage.
That's back in the day when they had 3 cars that were all the same. With there was like the Mercury Sable. There were like 3 cars that were all exactly the same.
Right, because Mercury was owned by Ford, and they just had different names for things.
They're all just pieces of shit.
There were so many bad cars back then. It's kind of interesting that like the earlier eras up until like 1970-ish is when people collected cars. Like you can still go, those are still classic today. They were classic 10 years ago. But nobody gives a fuck about those 90s cars. Like get them out of here.
Yeah, as soon as they
80s
stopped.
cars, get out of here with those 80s cars. Get the
I've
fuck
got an
away from
85 Cadillac Seville slantback. I love it so much.
me. If you want to have a 90s car, like, what's good in the 90s? Well, I guess Porsches.
I mean, we
BMWs
grew up
and
in
stuff.
the era of hip hop with the cars,
Yeah.
the foreigns, with the rims.
Yeah.
Have you seen those guys, the BBS boys? They make those cars basically like dream cars from rap videos. They make them now.
Oh, boy.
They're getting huge doing that, and it's so amazing seeing it. I get so it brings up so many memories. You know, those were the cars I wanted when I was like in high school.
Yeah, you're always like a prisoner to the cars that you were really into when you were in high school.
That's what was popular. It was on the videos. It was all flashy and like looked amazing.
Yeah. There's how many people out there want a Testarossa because of Miami Vice? Right? Everybody wanted to be Don Johnson.
I always wanted the Ghostbusters ambulance. That was the car.
Ah,
Those are very expensive.
I would imagine.
My son's really into like foreign cars.
What are all these, Jamie?
The BBS boys cars.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I just drool over all these videos, man.
So they put BBS wheels on all these cars? Is that
Well,
what's
that's
going
just what
on?
they're called, but they put just accessories from the era on there.
There's
They
one
just make
car
'em
that
look
was
real
fucking
bright.
incredible from the 1990s. It doesn't get its just deserve. Is the original Acura NSX. That
Look
little
at that, man.
tiny aluminum car that Acura made.
I
You know,
don't
that's a
remember
90s
that
car that needs some respect. It was like a 90s Acura response to Ferrari, because Ferraris were making these sleek little sports cars. And so Acura decided, we're going to show you what a real one is like. We're going to make one that doesn't break. We're going to make one that you could drive every fucking day. So it's like your car, except it doesn't break every 10 minutes.
That's cool.
And so they made a better Ferrari, and they changed the game for everybody else. Everybody else had to like make a car that actually lasted, because Hondas were so fucking good. They figured out how to make a car that just like didn't have problems. And so if you bought an actual Ferrari, like that thing was probably always like little tweaks. And it's a race car. There's a lot of shit you got to do. The other thing's a Honda.
I have a 2010 BMW. That's still my driver. I bought it new. I took it in to get new brakes the other day.
That thing's rickety, man.
Not anymore. It's getting new brakes, but dude,
I was shocked when you drove it.
All the front pads have been worn. I was waiting to get a new car. I was like, because dude, I'm like an old school saver. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm
Right.
gonna drive this another 6 months, and then, dude, there's like no cars available. They're all sold out. Like,
Because of the supply
yeah,
chain
there's no.
issue.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive this another year. I've decided to get new pads because it was like metal on metal. I took it into the BMW guy. The guy checking me in was like, he mentioned that he was 21. I was like, fucking hell, this car. He was 9 when I bought this car new.
Wow.
Dude, do you know anybody that's driven a daily driver for 12 years? I'm kind of.
No.
I think I'm about to break some sort of record, man.
It's unusual,
It's unusual.
but those cars can last.
I might get to keep it. It's got 75,000 miles on it. That's it. Because we toured so much. It's got no miles on it.
Yeah, those cars can go for a long fucking time too. They're so well engineered.
Dude, when we signed our first real record deal with this label, Mississippi, it was like for $12,000. That was the guarantee. And the dude was like, "Hey," Dan had mentioned, like that's a cool old Mercedes back there. It was like a 1980 Mercedes. He's like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I could knock $5,000 off of the check, and you could take that car.
You can drive that out.
You could drive it home." He was like a used car salesman record deal.
That's hilarious.
Had a bullet hole in the windshield.
Show him a 1994 Acura NSX. Can't believe you've never seen one of these things before.
Oh, I probably have.
It's a little aluminum car with like a tail on the end of it. That's an Acura NSX.
That's an Acura?
Yep. That's an NSX. It's a mid-engine supercar that Acura designed and built for years. I had 2 of those. I had one from that era with the lift-up headlights, and I had one from the later era, like 2003, that had fixed headlights. It's a beautiful little car, right?
It's cool.
So
Yeah, it looks Italian,
they like flipped the game on the Italians because they made one of these cars that doesn't break.
I'd never driven a sports car until just recently. I went to Miami, and my son is obsessed with them because he watches like Mr. Beast and stuff like that. They're always talking about Lamborghinis and McLarens, and like he's like, "Dad, did you know this Lamborghini can beat this one?" And so I surprised him and rented him a green Lamborghini, and we drove around Miami.
That's hilarious.
It was awesome. He had so much fun.
Did you drive it at all? Did you drive it?
I drove it all over. Yeah.
Did you freak out while you're driving it?
Did he freak out?
Yeah. Did you freak out too?
Oh, yeah. It was
It's a crazy
it was
car
cool.
to
It was
drive
fun as
around
hell.
in.
Especially in Miami. Something about it felt very appropriate.
Yeah, it fits right in. That's
We
probably the
drove
only
over
place.
to the Padron factory, got some fresh Nicaraguans.
How old is your son?
6.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
must have been a trip.
Oh, he loved it so much. It was fun.
Because that's like being in a spaceship for a little kid or a superhero car.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it felt like to me. I can't imagine what it was like to him, man. It was just so crazy. Blasting the music, driving around with the top off. It was kind of nuts.
Miami's like the most flossy city in the country for sure, right? Where people would drive
Yeah.
around with something like that. And
Oh,
It's all
yeah. I
good.
mean, if you sit on that main street there, you just see them like every other car is some sort of crazy sports car.
Yeah, it's like the place where the yachts go. It's the same kind of deal. People go there to party and ball.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a way of life there, for sure.
where do you guys when you start your tours? Do you just figure out like what sounds cool? Like, oh, I'd like to go to this part of the country. I'd go, or do you have like a sort of a plan? Do you try to make your way across the country? How do you do it?
Usually, I mean, yeah, there's definitely certain cities. Like on this tour, we're doing 32 shows, and there's some cities that didn't make the cut for whatever reason, routing, that we'll have to go back to. But there's big cities for us too. Like Minneapolis is a big city for us, so it's not on the tour. But yeah, we just try to get as much coverage. I mean, the big thing for us is that because we both have young kids, is trying to minimize that time away from home.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you do the thing where you make your way across the country in a bus, or do you do like weekends and fly back?
We do it all we try to do it doesn't make sense to do it in and out. So you have to go on the road. So we figured out this kind of system, like 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off, essentially, and then we can cover the U.S. in like 3 legs. Still trying to figure out like how, I got to get my kid out for a couple of days here and there. I can't go 3 weeks without seeing him.
Yeah.
It's just too long. My dad went away for a month when I was a kid, and it was traumatizing to me. I went to take the trash out 2 days ago. My kid was in tears.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, the travel when you have children. It just doesn't feel fun anymore.
But like I was saying, earlier before we started, I slept like better last night than I have in years. I got like
Because he's not running around grabbing things.
12 hours of sleep. It was amazing.
That's hilarious. And so true. And everybody can relate to that. It's just a thing that happens to you. You have children. And also you start getting real paranoid about things. Paranoid about like what are the dangers out there.
Oh yeah.
Start thinking about stuff. Do we have enough food? Do we have food stockpiled anywhere? You start thinking things like that when you have children.
Like with COVID, I just really worried about the toilet paper situation.
Yeah. I have to pee so bad. Let me pause this. Let's pause this and we'll come back and
I gotta pee too.
chat some more.
God damn, I got to pee.
barely hanging in here.
We're waiting to see who would go first.
I was about
So we were talking about cars. So why do you have this old ass car? You obviously love cars.
I'm just like
Pragmatic.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
And when they run, it's amazing. I've got old motorcycles, 30s and 40s.
But this
Harleys,
isn't that
same
old.
thing.
It's 2010.
Yeah, mine's not beautiful. I'm just a cheapskate.
Right.
Oh,
when it comes to
I thought you were
myself, I'm
talking
cheap.
about your.
Dan has a crazy collection of motorcycles.
I thought you
really?
were talking about the. Yeah,
What kind of motorcycles?
old knuckleheads and panheads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How'd you get into those?
I had some friends in Nashville who were into them, and then actually I bought my first one from Mike Wolf, who lives in town, because he's just always getting them. And I just got addicted to it.
Those are fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like when you see one ride by, you can't help but like turn your head and look at it, watch it. You get drawn into it. There's something about it, like the freedom of that. And I always think at the beginning of that Hunter S. Thompson documentary, where he's talking about the edge, and he's riding the motorcycle on the Pacific Coast Highway, and he's just. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then he talking about how he gets to a certain speed where it feels like he hears music and everything just seems to come together for him. He's
It's
like
so
riding that
peaceful.
edge.
It really is. Nothing clears my mind like it.
I'm so scared of those things.
Me too.
Yeah, but
They
these
look
ones
so
are
cool.
These ones are not like a Kawasaki Ninja or something.
But even
It's
even
just like-
them, I'm scared of other people, man.
Yeah.
Dan's
I guess.
like, oh man, I'm not so into flying. It's like, and I'm like, dude, you drive 100-year-old motorcycle, like literally 85-year-old motorcycle. I'm like, come on.
Johnny Depp
They're
is
so
actually,
simple, those machines.
Johnny Depp is actually the one that does the narration over that Hunter Thompson thing,
Yeah.
the riding the motorcycle thing. That's right. Yeah, motorcycles they're amazing, but
It definitely they scare me. I think that's healthy.
look at that thing.
Yeah.
Dude, how many of these do you have? You've got like 15?
Look at the
Well,
patina. Can you go back to that one?
18.
Look at the patina on that one. Oh,
That
my
one came from
God.
North Carolina.
Dude, that is fucking gorgeous.
48 Panhead, first year at Panhead.
That's a clear example of like time and wear making something even more beautiful.
All my bikes are like that. Those are the ones that I like, are the ones that are sort of like rolling folk art.
That's
my Indian right there, the striped one. The guy who owned that played motorcycle polo with that bike.
What?
First gear is completely ripped out because he was just playing fucking polo. That one that I'm on right there, that red one,
What's that?
Oh, that's not me, no. This other one. That's my buddy, though.
You had to look at it for a second.
No, that one. It looks like the same bike. This one, yeah, right there in the middle. That one. That guy came out of the army and bought that for himself. It was black. He painted all red. And
What year is that?
customized it. That's a 40.
1940. Look how beautiful
40
that thing
knuckle.
is. And do you ever drive these
And
things?
there's pinstriping on the fronts. That's like pinstriping from the 40s. I mean, it's so early.
Do you drive these?
I rode that one to Mississippi and back
Wow.
with a group of about 14 other old bikes.
Now, is there a compromise in like the way it brakes or anything?
Fuck yeah.
Like, how bad is it? How
That one's
dangerous
an
is it?
original paint.
That's fucking beautiful.
Mike Wolf. I bought that one from Wolf.
God, that green is
He
incredible.
called that one Swamp Donkey.
Like, how bad are the brakes?
Oh, they're good. I mean, if you have them right, they're fine.
So it's not that big of a difference where it's dangerous.
Well, a modern bike definitely breaks. A disc brake definitely stops better, but you know. Anyway,
BMW.
it's a real addiction, but I do love it.
BMW is coming out with some kind of motorcycle that helps you correct when you lose balance.
Like a trike.
I don't know what the fuck it is.
Dude, I saw someone
It's
here
something
driving one of those. It's like a reverse trike. The cars.
Yeah.
The spiders.
Yeah.
Dude, they're so goofy looking.
Very
Like,
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is this
I love those
BMW
guys.
thing.
That's like the car from the ambiguously gay duo. That's like that they drive with us.
It's a Tron car, right? So the idea is something inside of it balances it out to help you if you are about to fall over. It balances
That
you out.
reminds me of like the Gibson made guitars that would tune themselves.
Yeah. The robot guitar. It's like a Segway.
Failed miserably.
It's fucking cool looking. I mean, it's not the same kind of cool as your bikes,
Oh no, it's
but it's
beautiful.
spaceship cool.
Yeah.
It's like Tron level.
Yeah, I mean,
totally.
there's completely different feels to that. Like, look at that woman riding that. That's wild. So you could just sit on it and it doesn't tip over. We're basically living in a movie. Look at that thing. Is this a concept or this is an actual bike?
Both, I think. Well, more of a
Super Matrix. I love
Yeah.
that.
Fuck yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
because they've been making some weird stuff to show at CES and stuff. And
The difference is, I bet that if you drive one of your bikes, that it's a lot like driving like a 1965 Corvette or something like that, that you feel something when you're driving it. There's an excitement to having this rolling old art under your ass.
I just I look at the clothes they're wearing in that. I'm just wondering, like, remember, like in the 50s when they tried to like show what the future would look like, and then the 70s come around and everyone's wearing like really ugly bell bottoms. Like, I went to the clothing store today and my wife had to buy some shoes, and like, dude, all the jeans like are designed to like emphasize like the fupa. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I don't even understand what's happening. I feel like all the short pants are really short and like cut really weird. I just wonder what people are going to dress like 15 years from now. They're not going to dress like that. They're going to dress like way. There's so much lead poisoning out there, man. They're going to be dressed way.
You think that's what it is?
I don't know.
That would make sense that why people get really into pants that have been torn to shreds.
Yeah.
My wife has pants that she just bought that look like she was in a car accident. Like she just got attacked by wolves. There's holes all over them. And that's the style. The style is wear clothes that it's torn apart, blown apart.
Or,
Like your knees are hanging out, it's fucking pieces of your thigh exposed. Like your pants, you should be embarrassed to have those pants on, run home and change. You tore your pants apart. But no, you buy them like that.
the like, dystopian future clothing where like the Yeezy collection of just like everyone looks kind of like futuristic prisoners.
It's you just like Obi-Wan Kenobi for the rest of your life.
I saw Kanye perform at the Hollywood Bowl like 10 years ago. And it was all like singing through auto-tune. It was very weird. Like I didn't think it was very good. It was a performance, you know. It was like more theatrical, but it was funny. Like afterwards, the people I knew who weren't musicians just were like, "That was incredible. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen." And I was like, "Oh, that's probably like these are all like actors and shit. That's probably like how I like when I see like Honey I Shrunk the Kids 2. I'm like, that was amazing. Like, you're an idiot."
Well, you know, does he have his own way of like? What was it about it that you didn't like? Is it just not your style of music?
Oh, I just didn't understand it. I don't know.
What was he doing? It was like a one-man show.
He was wearing like burlap sack.
Really?
And it was so weird, man.
And this is like how many years ago?
But it wasn't like the Shags weird. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like weird. It was like high IQ weird. Just like really worried about it. But I didn't really get it. But the point is just that it's funny when you see someone like the dystopian future. Like, you know, I don't know. I hope the future doesn't look like that. It's so fucking boring.
I think the future is going to be genderless. I think what we're seeing now with all this bizarre classifications of things and pronouns and all this craziness with people, I think we are on our way to becoming aliens. I think this is one of those things. It's like if what that thing is in our head, that archetype of the big head and the little tiny body, that's the future. We're going that way, and we're going to go that way because of an implant or some sort of technological advance. But along the way, our bodies are going to get accustomed to this idea of the male and female dynamic is like it doesn't count anymore. It's like there's 98 different genders, and everybody can be whatever the fuck you want at any given time. And it'll slowly make it easier for us to accept becoming aliens. Genderless, fucking genitalless, just little spindly bodies moving everything with our minds. That's what's going to happen. That's why all this wild shit's happening in our country. It's preparing us for this state. We're building the fucking cocoon. We're going to become the butterfly.
Yeah. You don't hear about abductions that often anymore, do you?
Hardly ever.
They were everywhere. Like,
damn,
I was terrified of it as a kid.
I was too.
The Goodyear blimp was based where we're from. You know, like so. I was watching Unsolved Mysteries one night when I was probably about 8. And I can't believe my mom. I was like allowed to watch this shit. It was just like, you know, I was convinced the Men in Black were like going to come into my house when I was a kid, you know, a really little kid. But one day I'm watching this shit and I look out reflecting on me just like colors, just like blue, red. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I look up in the sky and I see like all these colors. I'm like, what the fuck? Through the trees. I'm like, what the fuck? And it turned out like they were testing like a LED color panel on the Goodyear blimp. But I took for a while. I was like, fuck, you know, they're here.
You know what movie scared the fuck out of me? Do you remember that Whitley Strieber movie?
Dude, my friend's parents own Whitley Strieber's house where he wrote Communion.
What movie?
Communion. This is what here. Listen to this. I'm not. This is not a value judgment. This is just facts. Whitley Strieber was a fiction writer. He would write, you know, like fantasy novels, like right. What kind of stuff did he write? Was it sci-fi?
I'm only familiar with Communion, so I don't know.
So, and then he writes a true life story that reads exactly like his novels. It talks about him being abducted by aliens. And then they make a movie about this. And the movie's, when I was a kid and I watched it, I was fucking terrified.
Dude, the cover of the book alone.
They're going to take me through the walls. They can just take you right through walls. They just appear at your bedside. You can't move. You're paralyzed. They run science experiments on you.
Dude, I was talking to this...
That's the movie that scared you the most when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah. Well, no. In terms of... That wasn't that scared me the most, but it was the most in terms of thinking that could really happen.
Dude,
like, that could really happen to you.
I was sitting around once on tour and talking to one of the security guys that we were touring with, and we were talking about, you know, touring, and of course, like, you know, like, he's like, you know, I was like, you ever been in a haunted hotel room? He's like, oh, yeah, I've seen a demon once. I'm like, oh, really? He's like, oh, yeah. It climbed on top of me. It wouldn't let me up. Held me down. I was like, oh, dude, that's called sleep paralysis. He's like, no, man. Full demon. And I was like, no, man. I was like, look it up. I was like, it's happened to me. Sleep paralysis is scary because, you know, you think that someone's holding you down. You think someone's in the room. But, like, there's a painting from, like, the 1700s of, like, a succubus on top of something. He's like, what the fuck? I showed him, dude, he got so freaked out. It's like, I've met a few people who were fully convinced they'd seen a demon. And then I was like, it's sleep paralysis. Like your mind's like awake, your body's asleep, or vice versa. I forget what. But
it's also you could be dreaming still.
oh yeah.
So if you do have sleep paralysis and you're in the middle of a fucking half-assed dream and you really think there is a demon on your chest,
I've had it like 4 or 5 times. Every time I've had it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's somebody in the room. Fuck, somebody's in the fucking room. Always, but I wonder if a lot of abduction stuff probably comes down to that.
look at that. That is a wild picture.
Nope.
That is a wild
Imagine
picture.
like, come to my art show, or like this like 1780s artist. Come to my art show. I've drawn a succubus on top of a young woman.
Back then when they really didn't have much data
Metal, dude.
on anything. Like
So metal.
Look
so
at that.
metal. Look at it. Back then when someone got sick or when something like,
yeah.
that's incredible.
Fuck.
Isn't it crazy that each one of these shows the same kind of thing?
It's
Each
all-
one of these pieces of artwork, it's a demon on the back.
It's almost
on their
all.
the chest.
It's all like Northern Europeans too. Like it's like Swedish.
What if we're just
painter.
naive? What if we're just naive and there really are demons that occasionally just almost suffocate you? But they think it's cute. They think it's cute. They just climb on you and almost suffocate you, but they're not allowed to suffocate you. And then they let go. And occasionally they blow you. And that's why you have wet dreams. Maybe if you had wet dreams, you found out it's actually demons that are riding your cock.
Dude, this chick I knew, she told me she was an atheist, and then she told me she believed in demons. And I was like, it doesn't.
Seems consistent.
I was like, it doesn't really work that way. It doesn't quite work that way.
Well, that's the thing is like everybody, you're allowed to say you believe in God, but very few people say they believe in the devil.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. That gets you ridiculed. Even the people that believe in God will go, come on, the devil.
Yeah.
But imagine if that's really what's going on. That's what eats at the heart of men and causing them to contemplate nuclear war. It really is devils. That would be wild shit if we were so naive, like, God, devils aren't real. Come on, man. You know? I mean, if the sun wasn't real and someone told you about the sun, you'd be like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
How is that possible? It's 1,000,000 times bigger than the Earth and it's on fire. Really? Yeah, what else? Can it read your mind? If you stare at it, do you go blind? Yes, you do. Right?
Oh my God, man.
There's a lot of shit that if it wasn't real, if someone told you about it, you'd be like very incredulous. Like orcas, like they have their own language. We can't decipher it. They're maybe as smart as us. They just don't affect their environment.
That's one thing that COVID, I think my realization was just like how little anybody knows. How it's impossible to even like get like a clear message out to anybody. And when people were like early on, like everybody's getting invented and dying, like no one's even mentioned like that. Like there's been like a million deaths, but like how many hundreds of thousands were from being ventilated?
Yeah.
But
they didn't know what to do.
They don't know. But then you're like, oh, what happens if you get diagnosed with like most diseases? You're just fucked. You're just fucked, you know. Yeah, but I think that there's just very little that people really, you know, the level of understanding that people have. Like imagine the fact that we were fucking around with like nuclear bombs like 70 years ago. Like no one even really knew what was happening. It's just like accidental, like just dropping them all the time in the ocean.
Oh yeah.
It's like fucking
The
crazy.
videos are insane.
Dude, nuts.
I showed them to a friend of mine the other night at dinner. Like, this is what it looked like. And you see the look on his face when the fucking mile-high wall of water comes out of the ocean.
Oh, my God.
It's so big, it doesn't even make sense.
The best,
You're like, holy fuck.
Right now, when everyone's talking about this Russian hypersonic missile, like, can you believe this weapon that like Russia has? Like, I was like, wait a second. The U.S. spends like 10 to 20 times the amount of money on weapons than Russia does. We have all that shit. I mean, but the hypersonic missile, I mean, that's probably what those UFOs, quote unquote UFOs from the videos that were circulating a couple of years are just like, you know, because those things are fucking crazy, man. The ramjet shit, that. But it's crazy. It's like Art Bell. When we used to drive on tour back in the day, like it'd be like we'd listen to Coast to Coast at night. There's nothing else, but you could find that scary ass shit, and you'd be looking over like the, you know, Arizona skyline, like looking for shit.
Driving in the middle of the night,
Hearing
listen
this-
to Art Bell. That's the best.
And like around the time we were doing that, like that's when Art Bell's like family got kidnapped. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And George Norrie would come on, and then they were talking about ramjets and all kinds of shit. Like, I mean, that shit. It's actually, I think the ramjets what the powers the SR-71. Like, essentially, like, it takes a whole tank of fuel to get that thing just up and going, like Mach 1 or 2, whatever, and then they have to refuel it to get it like ramming, whatever. So, but like those.
So they refuel them in the sky?
Yeah, it takes a whole tank to get them where they need to go.
That's the wildest shit ever. Pumping gas in the sky.
Dude, if you see like the potential of these hypersonic missiles, have you? Dude, they like without even a warhead, they have like a megaton explosion just from the velocity of the speed. They can go like Mach 15 or something.
And they can change course.
Yeah.
They can't just predict, oh, this one's going to go to Seattle. No, it can turn left. You can go south.
You know that scene in like it's like Superman 2 where they have the ICBM and like he's like riding it like dude, that's fucking insane.
I think you're right. I think that's probably a lot of what those UFO sightings were. I think a lot of the other ones are drones, like the ones like the famous one is that Tic Tac one that they found off the coast of San Diego. I think in 2004, Commander David Fravor saw this object that they had tracked. They even recalibrated their device apparently to make sure that it was accurate. But they've read this thing at more than 50,000 feet above sea level, and it got down to 50 feet in less than a second.
Yeah.
And they don't know what it is, and they followed it around with their jets. And then the people on the Nimitz said, yeah, we've been seeing these for a couple weeks. These like super credible naval pilots. Guys who really understand like what's possible and not possible. And they watch these things dart off and just vanish with the kind of speed that like is just impossible. No propulsion signature. It doesn't like show that like anything's coming out the back like a normal jet. It just looks like a Tic Tac. Yeah. And it goes at an impossible speed. Like, what the fuck is that? That might be a drone. It might be some crazy fucking drone that they've been working on for decades, just not telling us about.
Oh, for sure.
And when I saw the Pentagon was talking about UFOs, and they were talking about things from alien worlds, I'm like, yeah, really? Or maybe you guys have been making some cool fucking shit, and you don't want everybody to know.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, it's not us. We don't have any hypersonic fucking UFO-looking Tic Tacs.
It's like back to Phil Hartman when he does the unfrozen caveman lawyer. He's like, I'm not familiar with your modern ways, this legal system, but I do know my client's entitled to $3.5 million in punitive damages. It's like, it's alien technology. We don't know where it's
Why would the Pentagon ever tell us? Because I always wondered, like, because Tom DeLonge, he actually like worked with the government. Like, they brought him in to talk about aliens because he's that much of an alien freak. And I think they thought that would like help, you know.
Dude, he told me he was like they're cloaked. They're all above us. They're cloaked and they're scanning. And honestly, what he was describing was like satellites tapping into all of our phones and listening to everything we do, which is I think actually happening.
Yeah, but they don't even need satellites to do that.
No,
they get right into the system. They can listen to everything you say. That's Gavin DeBecker, who's a security expert on my podcast, was explaining. You used to have a clickable link. It used to be a thing you had to click, and then you would accidentally, without your knowledge, rather, download some sort of a software that would take over your phone. Now they don't need that. So now they just need your phone number. They get your phone number. They're just listening to you. They're watching everything you do. They can do whatever they want now.
Dude, imagine the stupid conversations that these people have to listen to.
Yeah. Well, it makes people more aware of how fucking stupid your conversations are if you think they can come up in a trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Oh, my God.
That kind of shit, when you realize, like, oh, my God, like, everything you've ever said.
And he's now reading, like,
text messages and shit.
The vessel I donated my jizz to.
By the way, he's kind of a poetic guy.
Hell yeah.
And he was probably lit.
Yeah.
He likes to get fucked up. So why are we taking this as like these are statements? This is like how he really feels about everything?
Seems to be he's pretty universally coming out on top.
It seems to be. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that those kind of things do happen, but it's probably...
We played with him one time. He's so nice.
Yeah.
It's probably good for people to recognize that all kinds of genders are crazy. It doesn't matter. It just because someone is a male doesn't mean they're evil. And so someone's a female doesn't mean they're evil either. And there's crazy people on both sides. And sometimes we all want to automatically assume, like when someone accuses someone of something, automatically assume that this person did it. Especially we'd like to if it's like a famous person.
Oh, it's
in this situation, it seems like there's a lot of wackiness. I think it's good to let people look at this kind of stuff and go, okay, there's crazy people everywhere. this could all be crazy. Like, what actually happened here? How much coke were you on? What were you guys doing? How many days you been up for? You chopped your finger off? Why were you both recording each other?
Exactly.
How crazy is that? You both recording each other? Like, this is madness all around.
Yeah, totally. But also, I do think there's a lot of
That's spy versus spy shit.
Dude, when relationships get bad, you know that shit happens.
It's so
man. Come
crazy
on.
though. They're arguing.
You get so
but they're
crazy.
But they're both actors, so they're both aware that they're recording, and they're acting like they're aware they're recording.
Oh, yeah.
It's bananas.
It's bananas.
It's so bananas because it's like, is this like some really high level reality TV? Am I being punked? Is this a project? Two actors acting out a horrific
It sounds
breakup.
It sounds like a nightmare.
A horrible nightmare. But
don't know.
the
It
world's
sounds-
fixated.
Feels like it sounds common to me.
It's very common.
Have you seen Blowgate?
No, what's that?
Blowgate. There's a video where it appears that she's sniffing
Oh, yeah.
something off
Oh,
of her
right.
napkin.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Something to
when
make
people
her
are
cry?
Scrutinizing every fucking second of this and trying to look for it.
Blowgate. I didn't know it had a
It's-
name.
I think I might have made that part up.
It seems like there should be a different court system for this.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy. This
it's
is
just-
regular court.
It should be like people's court. Dude, imagine if there was a bailiff during this. Dude, if they had a people's court bailiff during this, just be like, oh, like basically like our health coach just be like, just Judy, hell no.
Yeah.
When he was talking about finding her shit on the bed, like the bailiff would lose his shit. In people's court.
What is that the best way to figure out who's right and who's wrong? Is let them do that? Is it? I mean, is that really the best way? Like they all just tell their story and their stories don't match up, and people have to figure out who they believe.
Dude, they're ultimately there's
What
gonna.
a fucking wacky thing to do publicly.
It's really weird.
Well,
Fucking weird, man.
Because
Weird.
he sued her and then she countersued him for $100 million. And
So this lawsuit will go on forever. They'll just keep battling it out.
one of them's going to end up with a big yacht, though.
Do you think so?
No.
What is the best case scenario is that people believe Johnny Depp. That's best case scenario for him. I think he's probably already achieved that.
Dude, all the money that's being made by the advertising and clickbait should be put into a slush fund, and then the winner of the case should get that.
Right. That should be like the new thing for divorces.
Dude, they're generating tens of millions of dollars a week right now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, imagine all the fucking news shows, air quotes, news shows that are covering this.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
it's entertaining as hell.
It's crazy town. It's crazy town, and there's no script.
Yeah.
Johnny comes off pretty fucking smooth, though.
Yeah.
Seems like a nice guy.
He seems entertained too.
Yeah, yeah. He's a guy who's he likes to party.
Yeah.
Seems like he got himself all wrapped up in a bad situation.
Dude, we've hung out with him. He's so nice. Someone tweeted like, when did Johnny Depp start looking like a strip club DJ? And I was like, pretty accurate.
I wonder if they're going to put him back on Pirates of the Caribbean. If Disney wanted to reclaim all the stock that they've lost, all the market share they've lost over the last couple months, I guarantee you say, fuck it, we're on team Johnny Depp. That would probably pump up their stock market price. Like literally.
Interesting.
That would cause their stock to raise. If they you know what, we're bringing Johnny back, we believe him.
Maybe,
Hashtag believe most women.
maybe they could cast them both.
Together, alongside each other.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the resolution.
Yeah.
Look, we know a lot of crazy women are great actors.
Everybody
Just
would watch
accept
that.
her for who she is. She's crazy.
Everyone would watch that.
Yeah, maybe they can fucking shake hands on this and come together. Listen. I've got a better idea.
Yeah.
Instead of us suing each other into oblivion, how about we star in a fucking movie
And maybe-
about fellow pirates?
Maybe they fall back in love.
she's the bad pirate, and they have to duke it out, and eventually they wind up making out. In the
They
end of the
fall in
movie.
love
They
in
fall
real
in love.
life.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Fall in
They
love. No,
again.
they kill each other.
No.
And then
No, they
it's
get
redone.
remarried. The real Johnny Depp and the real Amber Heard get remarried during the making of this movie because they fall in love again while pretending to be in love for
Man,
this
that's
movie.
twisted.
Maybe not. Maybe it's better
That's
if they're
twisted.
what if they're happy, bro? What if they're happy?
Yeah.
What if they're happy? What if it works out?
There must have been a spark there to begin with there, so I think we could find it again.
Well, a lot of those crazy gals are a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things. Poor Johnny.
Oh, yeah. Dude, when he's talking about, getting into a fight and then going down to his bar and, pounding like 6 shots of vodka. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, it's intense, man.
It's intense.
Yeah.
He's good friends with my buddy Stanhope, Doug Stanhope, and he loves the guy. But they put down.
Oh, I bet.
They fucking party.
Really?
Oh my God, there's so much liver damage, and so much chaos. But Johnny Depp was a giant Hunter S. Thompson fan. You know, like part of what he likes is this idea of just like party until the wheels fall off. You know.
I met Alice Cooper a year ago. He's friends with a good friend of mine. And him and I went golfing. I sat in the golf cart with him for like 4 hours. It was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, he had the best stories of all time, and said he was like in the room when Jimi Hendrix like first used a wah-wah pedal. Frank Zappa like showed it to him.
What?
And and Alice Cooper was there, but he was going on about how Johnny Depp was one of his best friends, super nice guy, and they have that band together, the Hollywood Vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the guy.
Have you had Alice Cooper on?
No, I'd love to.
Holy shit.
I'd love to.
Dude, the story's just...
Holy shit.
He was really good friends with Groucho Marx.
Really?
Like tight friends with Groucho.
Wow.
Yeah, they used to
you got to get him
He used to like
I
get
would
it.
love to.
He like said they would get into like watch movies in Groucho's bed together. And shit.
No shit. That's tight. That's like best friend shit.
Yeah, like best friend shit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Groucho Marx, you ever see the old ones when you see the actual high resolution images where you realize like his eyebrows were painted on? Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah.
It's
sure.
so strange. You look at it, it's
Amazing.
like, what is that? It's like, it's just paint.
My dad played all those movies when I was a kid.
Same. Duck Soup.
How
Duck
genius
Soup.
was that to do that though? Because it really did make him a
It's
cartoon.
Stage makeup.
This
Yeah.
vaudeville.
It made him a
Vaudeville,
cartoon.
yeah.
Groucho was a fucking genius.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. They all were.
Look at that.
Yes.
Wow. Alice Cooper
I remember
and
when
Groucho
Gilbert
Marx.
Godfrey used to do the old Groucho impression. Remember that?
I never saw him do that.
It's really good.
You bet your life. Wow.
Dude, amazing.
That's some errors right there, son.
Yeah.
I was just in Phoenix.
He's got
Alice
a Groucho
Cooper
shirt
town.
on. Groucho.
Yeah, the Marx Brothers. I mean, those first early comedy movies.
Oh, my God, yeah.
My God. It's a wild thing that Alice Cooper's around, and those were, like it's like the chain of connecting the two. Those fucking movies were completely innovative. There's anything like that. All of a sudden, you got a movie, a comedy duo movie. Comedy trio in that sense.
Yeah, there'd be no Mel Brooks without the Marx Brothers.
Right, or Laurel and Hardy. I was thinking of Laurel and Hardy when I was
I
thinking
love
duo.
Laurel and
Stooges.
Hardy.
But yeah, Three Stooges, all those guys, like all those early movies, man.
My son loves Three Stooges.
Oh, same.
Yeah. Oh my
so
God.
much fun.
It just resonates with kids. It was so goofy. It was so violent. They're always hitting each other and shit.
I liked Shemp, too.
Yeah, champ.
I didn't like Curly Joe, though. That's where I drew the line.
Yeah, what happened? Did one of them die?
Yeah, Curly.
Curly died. Right.
I mean, he was the superstar.
He was
in
the fucking
He was the
man.
superstar.
Yeah, Shemp was like, you can't replace Curly with Shemp. Right?
Well, you know what? He was one of their brothers, I think, too.
Oh, was he?
He was actual one of their brothers. Yeah. But I liked him. I thought he
Dude,
was
my
funny.
allegiance to the Stooges would change every like couple.
But weren't there like
days.
2 other ones after? Then it got suspect. And they're like, the guys are really old. They
Joe
can't hit
Besser
each
and
other like
Joe
they used to.
Dorita.
What's that, Jamie?
Joe Besser and Joe Dorita.
Who are those guys? Let me see what they look.
Yeah, that's Curly Joe.
That's like some of the later members of Kiss.
This would be Joe Dorita. on that
Larry,
picture.
Mo, and Curly
Dude, look
Joe.
how old Mo looks in 1959.
Wow. And that's in 59?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Dude, what year did they start? Early 30s?
Yeah,
Larry Fine from Philly.
34. Wow. That's even when they're in Columbia. So
It's
22,
22.
the 20s. Ted Healy and his Stooges is what they were called.
The Three Stooges began in 1922.
Dude, this guy,
Wow.
I know, he took me in. He had like this like recording studio in the Lower East Side. He's like, an after hours party. He took me. He's like to this thing with some other people, and like, you walked into the apartment building, up to like the second floor. There's like a hidden door opened up to this like hidden vaudeville theater from the 20s. It was just amazing, dude. The East Village, Lower East Side of New York, just such crazy history there.
Wow.
Crazy
Those
vaudeville
old
stuff.
theaters like that. You go into those old vaudeville style theaters, like it's just a feel. Like you feel the experience is almost burned into the
Oh
walls.
yeah, absolutely.
You know the Ryman's like that. You know where you guys are, where they did the Grand Ole Opry. That place is like you walk in that building, you're like, woo.
We almost
There's ghosts there.
It's burned into the walls. It's
rich.
like experiences, people's good times are burned into the walls of that place.
We had a good theater downtown Akron. It's the Civic
still there.
with
Still.
the stars in the clouds that would slowly move.
Oh, wow.
overhead, so it felt like you're inside a castle.
Oh wow.
It's cool. We almost got kicked out of the Ryman the first time we played there.
How come? This is it. Look at that.
That's the Civic. Yeah.
Fuck, that's dope. So that ceiling rotates?
No, it's projected, I think.
Oh.
And slowly the clouds move and the stars twinkle.
Oh, wow.
I just remember being a kid there and being absolutely mesmerized.
Wow. So they've been doing it that way for a long time. I wonder how they did that
I
back
saw
in the
Tom
day with a
Waits.
projector.
I saw Tom Waits there too. Fucking
How the
amazing.
fuck did they do that way back then with a projector? They had projectors that good back then?
I don't know how they did it, man.
Pretty dope. Yeah, something about those old places that just have experienced so many different shows. They really do feel different. They have like a feel to them.
So many of them were torn down, man. It's so crazy to think about all the crazy shit that's been built and torn down. Like I watched this thing about the Vanderbilt mansions in New York. Like, dude, these crazy opulent houses that would have cost like $1 billion to build. Just tear it down, like put like a Dwayne Reed.
Oh fuck!
So insane,
When did they do this?
dude. They tore them all down like a long time ago, like in the 30s.
Oh
you know,
my God.
put up some bullshit. Now it's all like, you know, yeah, who fucking knows? It's a Ray's Pizza.
Ray's number one.
There's certain places that why don't they qualify for like historical protection? Like there's certain places like if you go to if you go to Hollywood and you pass by the Comedy Store is like a historical place. It should be like in a book somewhere. Like you can't fuck with it. Like leave it alone. Like that's a historical place. There should be a few of those.
Oh,
We
yeah.
need like a few bars, a few like the whiskey. Imagine if they turned the whiskey into like a drugstore. You'd be like, what?
aren't they? Is it the whiskey or is it the Roxy? Something's about to get turned into something.
Really?
The CBGBs, they
That's gone.
They ripped that thing
Yeah.
apart.
But the Roxy is right next door to that famous Rainbow Bar and Grill, right? Are they gonna? I think that's the one that's is that the one that's getting converted to something? Because there's the whiskey on that street
Yeah,
and
the
the
Rainbow.
Roxy. The Roxy's right next to the Rainbow. That's where Kinnison filmed his first HBO special too.
Dude, we used to go into the Rainbow when we first started going to LA, and Lemmy from Motorhead would just always be at the little video game machine in the corner, just sit there and watch this rock stars just like pound rum and cokes, just playing this game.
That was their spot.
That was their spot, man.
Yeah, pretty fucking decent food. Pizza's pretty good. Not bad. Fun spot to hang out, but it was always
I know,
like
right there.
old rock guys.
It was always old rock
there.
guys. We were there. I was
Yeah.
like, one time Jason Bonham was there. He came up to me. He didn't know who we were. He just was like at the bar, just in town for something. He's like, first time I came here, I ordered a steak and got my dick sucked up under the table. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, here we are, like, yeah, drinking Diet Cokes and
That rock star world.
dude, back in the '80s, yeah, insane.
The 80s were the cocaine days too, right? Like that's the Miami Vice days.
Yeah.
That's when people were going crazy.
Dude, every old rock star guy, they're always like, oh my God, I'm so glad cell phones weren't around when we were doing this shit.
The Viper Room. What? No. Drugs, dolls, and Johnny Depp. The Viper Room's demolition is the end of a Hollywood era. That's not fair.
Wow.
What are they doing? That's not smart, kids. Oh, you got to register to keep reading.
I feel the same way about recording studios.
Yeah.
There's so few
Right.
classic studios that still exist, and when you go into a real old cool studio, it's so amazing.
Well, I would imagine for you guys, it's also like the Comedy Store is to me. It's like a historic
Oh yeah.
thing. There's a long part of your craft and your art is tied up in a building like that.
I never get tired of like going to Motown studios when we go to Detroit. I mean, it blows my mind. I love it in there.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of that shit. We went to Stax first time we went to Memphis.
Abbey Road.
Mm-hmm.
We made a record at Muscle Shoals Sound. Wow. Before they made the documentary and stuff, it was just a rundown piece of shit building. Like nothing worked in there. There's the guy that bought it like lived in the basement. It was so trippy and weird. And we were in there. This is 2009, and there's like nothing to do. Nothing worked, and we ended up making a record, Brothers, there. And it was the first record it was the first platinum record made there in like 30 fucking years. And they made that documentary. They never even mentioned ours.
They should preserve those places. They should do something to preserve. I mean, that's
Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre bought it or donated a bunch of money, and now it's like
It looks like it did in 1969.
it's been restored. But
It's been restored. It wasn't like that when we were there, but
it was so fucked up that when we were
they did
there,
a good job. It looks amazing.
nice.
The nickname of the place was the Burlap Palace because it was all the walls were burlap. The little movable walls were all burlap, and they were all bright 60s colors, you know.
Wow.
only one speaker worked in the control room. So like we made that record in mono. Yeah.
Wow.
But that city's magical, Muscle Shoals. There's so
Yeah.
many hits came out of that small town. It's
What do you think that is? Like, how does something like that happen?
There's all that's the building. There's all kinds of legends, you know, about some Native American spirits and the river. And
Let me see that inside again, Jamie. That picture right there. Yeah. Damn, there's something cool about that.
that's in the basement there. It's a room in the basement.
So that's where you hang out in those rooms to the side of the recording
No, that's where the
studios?
guys lived, I guess.
He
We
lived.
never went down in the basement.
He lived here?
There was one room in the basement.
Look at that. That's the control room.
That's the
See the
control
like
room.
space-aged angle.
Oh, that's dope.
There's footage of the Rolling Stones recording like Wild Horses.
Yeah.
In there, and you can see
With
them
Jim Dickinson
in
on-
that
on-
couch up front. They were just like getting fucked up.
Eddie Hinton slept on that couch all the time, apparently.
Wow.
It's got so much history. I mean, that's obviously part of it, too, and that's such a famous facade. So many photographs taken in front of it.
It was a casket warehouse, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I think that's
See,
what-
that just seems like it absolutely should be preserved. There's places like
It
that.
has been, thankfully, but there's so many places that are just
that's
disappear.
That's the updated working facility now.
Like it's a super communist thing to say you shouldn't be allowed to sell it. But it's almost like that's like bigger than people. That's like
we loved being there.
I would imagine, man.
We were so inspired just being there.
So there's how many of those across the country that are on that level of
Fewer and fewer every year. Every year one major studio closes. New York City doesn't even really, I mean, New York City had the Cadillac recording studios all over, and they're just like,
they don't have them anymore?
no, they just really don't exist anymore.
Electric Lady's like the spot, but that was like open like a month before Hendrix died, and some great shit's been made there. But it's
No, I mean like an earlier kind of
not
golden
like-
age.
yeah, it's not like
50s,
golden age.
60s.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about Abbey Road. You go in there, and I mean,
Nothing's changed.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
they let like we recorded a little TV show there once, a British show, where like you set up in the Beatles' room and do your thing.
They had that echo chamber where they said they would go and smoke weed before the takes and stuff. And
Does it feel weird to be walking around where the Beatles were hanging out?
oh yeah, of course.
What does it feel like?
I mean, to be in the studio, to walk the stairs, there's one tiny little staircase that you have to go up and down to go to the control room. So you'd play, run up the stairs to go listen to playback. We were doing the same routine. Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Imagine if you could see it in a documentary, if they showed you them doing it and then you guys doing it years later, going down the same stairs, in the same legendary building. There's a guy named Rupert Sheldrake, and he has this concept that he promotes called morphic resonance, and part of it is that like I'm going to butcher this. Part of it is that everything has like some sort of memory to it. Everything does, including like objects have memories. It's one of the reasons
Well,
I
think
think
about
like,
what recording studios have. Like those magical moments that were one take, one of a kind
Yeah.
moments.
And everybody was there, like reveling in it, like fuck yeah, and that's like burned into the walls. And countless hours of that, with decade after decade, with different kinds of musicians and different backgrounds and different fucking styles, and burned into the walls.
I definitely kind of like to believe in that. There's been some. I've never been in like a room that I felt was like pretty like haunted, but I've been around like objects that like at least like felt like there's something, going on with it.
Yeah.
Like especially certain instruments, like it not like it's like just you hold it, you can tell it's something, or some freaky ass fucking furniture or something.
I don't believe in ghosts, but I don't not believe in ghosts.
I'm with you.
If there really were ghosts, like if it's a very rare occurrence that something pops over from the dimension of the dead for a quick second or two and freaks you out and pops back over, I don't think that would be weird. I think life is weird. The whole thing. From the fact that we come out of vaginas, the fact that we have a finite lifespan, the fact that we're hurling through infinity on a spinning rock, all those things. How the fuck would ghosts be any weirder than the reality of life? Like every now and then when someone dies, they leave like behind an echo. And that echo, you see it like running across the field and you can't believe your eyes. Why is that weird? Being alive is weird. Ghosts ain't shit.
We're with you, man.
It's fucking normal.
I'm with you. I do feel like whenever I've been around something that felt like kind of supernatural, and like the memory of it just gets distorted and changed like very quickly.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's like, what the fuck did I just see? And then you're like, you diminish it in your mind, like, oh, that was. You rationalize what it was, and
Your blimp, the blimp story.
yeah.
Yeah, what if you didn't notice that it was a blimp?
Yeah.
What if you really freaked out and you ran into the bathroom? For the rest of your life, you had a story about almost being abducted when you were a kid.
Well,
That's totally possible.
I was driving in Ohio at dusk once, and I saw this fucking huge ball of fires flying through the fucking air. Just like, it was insane. And I stopped my car in the middle of the road, and like everybody started honking at me, like, you should go. And I was like, what the fuck? This is a giant flaming ball flying over Northeast Ohio. This is like 2001. And I told everybody, like, I saw like this thing, and it was like, nah, man. And then the next day, there's a little blurb in the newspaper, like other people had seen this thing. But it was like, now when I talk about it, I'm like, what the fuck was it? It's just like, it was so
Jarring.
Yeah.
That your memory's distorted.
I've had like a lot of things like that. Just like, what the fuck?
Sure. Well, anything that's like supernatural. When I was in the woods once in Alberta, I saw a wolf. I thought it was a wolf. For a second, it was a squirrel. I was like, I saw a wolf. Like I thought first I saw gray moving quickly, and I thought maybe it was something behind those trees and larger, and I was only seeing a piece of. No, it was running on the log. And it was just gray. I was like, okay. But for a second, not even a second, but like whatever the initial thing is, I literally thought I was seeing a wolf. And then I realized it was a squirrel.
There's this show called the Jules Holland Show. It's a British show, and like bands play live. And we played it the first time, and Paul McCartney was on it playing. And I called my dad afterwards. I was like, I just met a Beatle. And he's like, what was he like? I was like, oh man, he's like tall, and like my image of Paul McCartney was instantly distorted than to what was I actually saw. I was just like, Dan's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, his head was big, and I just, like, literally my brain like saw Paul McCartney was just like larger than life. I was like, yeah.
The thing about the alien abduction thing is the same thing as the night terror thing. It all comes when people are laying down. It all comes, like a giant percentage of these stories come from either people that are asleep in a car or fall asleep in a car, or people that are asleep at their home. And I think there's probably something to all these chemicals that your brain produces that create dreams. And that people, when they're going into that little realm, when they're sleeping, there's some fucking sketchy times in there, and you can convince yourself that you're getting transported through fucking walls. But
that makes sense.
But it doesn't remove the possibility that there really are aliens here either. Because if I was an alien, I would for sure watch Us. I'm a human, and I can't take my eyes off Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Imagine if you were from another planet and you were trying to pay attention to how fucked up we are, like, look at these people. Look at this fucking disaster they have going on here. Oh my God, they're over the fucking brink of war for almost nothing.
Or if you were like, intelligent enough to hurl yourself all, light years away from your own planet, you might show up here and be like, man, everyone's a complete idiot. But then again, that's what we like to watch that on TV.
Yeah. And when I say the brink of war for almost nothing, what I mean is that, like, it didn't have to happen. This is like Russia doing that, invading Ukraine. Like, there's no reason to do that. The whole thing is insane that we're that close to a hot war again. It freaks me the fuck out all the time because I'm like, this doesn't have to happen. This totally didn't have to happen. It's not like somebody launched missiles at you. Like, there's been some back and forth. This is an invasion. That's what's so weird about it. Watching a country get invaded by Russia is like, whoa.
It's odd, man.
It's fucking weird, and I think it ramps up the normal level of anxiety of people, like, many points. I know it does mine, because I'm like, it's been a while. Nothing seems to have happened. I'm like, you can get real comfortable, like, thinking it's going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen. It's all a bunch of bluster. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom.
We were on tour in Europe in 2014 when that Arab liner got shot down or whatever over Ukraine.
Yeah.
It made me feel really weird. Still, does anybody know what happened there?
I don't know what the true story is because you have an explanation, an official explanation. I think they said it was an accident. Isn't that what they said?
By who?
I don't know.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm sure there's some information about it, but I'm not aware of it. Are you aware of it? Do you remember the story?
I don't. I remember it happening when we were there. That's fun. I mean, I didn't remember it until you just mentioned that.
Every country is run by a bunch of fucking psychos. Yeah. They're all trying to out-psycho each other.
Yeah.
If we just all get along here.
It's weird when you're far away from home and something crazy happens.
Oh, yeah.
It's really...
Well, how about those people that we were on the road when 9/11 happened and they couldn't get home because there was no flying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know people that were, like, renting cars and driving all the way across the country because there was a time period of I don't remember how many days where there was no flying.
It was like a week at least, I think. Because I saw something flying when it happened in Akron. It's one of those things where it's one of those memories. It's just like all distorted. But it was during the no-fly zone, whatever the fuck was going on. It was right over. It was near Lorain, Ohio, which is where the FAA headquarters, where they track all the flights are.
Oh wow!
I was driving my girlfriend back to college. She went to Oberlin College, and this was like middle of nowhere. Same road actually, where I saw this flaming ball. Like literally, like it was like a day later or something. It's nighttime. I was driving and I saw like this light hovering above a house, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And I was driving a Ford Escort, stick shift, and I put it into neutral and rolled down the windows, and I was looking at this fucking thing hovering above this house, a couple 100 feet above it. Just like, what the fuck is it? Scared the shit out of me. I was like, my girlfriend at the time had a cell phone. I was like, turn your cell phone on. Like, this isn't normal. I don't know what the fuck it is. The minute her like Nextel logo popped up, the thing just, not in like a supernatural crazy speed, but fast as fuck and silently, it just left.
So the moment her cell phone came on, it left.
Left.
Do you think it was a drone? Do you think it's like some experimental aircraft they're working on?
I mean, the drones didn't exist in 2001 that I knew of, but if I think back, it was something like that. Had to have been.
Well, I don't know when drones were invented. Do you know when drones were invented? I bet they were around. I bet
for sure they were around.
Military versions of them, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like when all this stuff happened, when Tom DeLonge came to our show and really freaked me out, I ended up getting in touch with someone who worked for like the Department of Energy.
Whoa. How's that conversation go?
Basically, they were like, the amount of money that the government spends on technology is so astounding that there's technology created like every year that's like harmful because it will destabilize the world.
Jesus.
And like the fact that it exists, you can't even acknowledge that it exists, but every country kind of has it. And these things are so fucking terrifying.
Oh my God.
That you can't even talk about them existing. So the idea of like disinformation that it's an alien or something, that's what this person was saying. But they were like, if you have to figure like that there's like, 500 billion or whatever it is dollars spent on military, and like 60% of it or something is like black projects. No one even knows where it's going. They're just like, yeah, And if you think about the amount of money that we've spent on military, it's like, it's kind of insane. But then that's when I realized, like, oh yeah, like the world we live in, and that's where I kind of had this thing where I was like, oh no shit, like it's, we tax ourselves to pay the money back to ourselves. It's like we've created like our own inferno of cash to keep, the economy where it is. We have such a large economy because we're spending our own money on our own shit. So there's like, oh, okay.
I'm very concerned about where all this goes, because I wonder if like our reliance on technology, as well as like these weapons that they're developing that can go faster than the speed of sound by many times, it can take turns, and who knows what else they have. Who knows what antimatter weapons with fucking
Dude, the deep
super nukes.
the deep fake stuff. Everyone's like, oh, it's funny they can make Tom Cruise. Anybody like Tom Cruise, like that's like
so good.
Oh yeah, that's funny, but wait, that's like it's already out. They've been doing that
forever. Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar just released a video like today or yesterday. It's just all deep fakes.
Wow.
It's crazy.
What is it him doing?
It's just him turning into different people.
Whoa.
Jussie Smollett.
Whoa.
Will Smith.
Yeah, we're not going to have any idea what's true.
It
It's a
looks
short amount of
so
time.
real.
Unless you take
Frightening.
the brain chip. With the brain chip, we're all going to be fine. We'll be synced up together. There'll be no lying.
Yeah.
Do it for everyone else. Get the brain chip. Come on, Pat.
yeah.
Get the brain chip. I think we're going to become aliens, and I'm not kidding. Is this Kendrick Lamar's
watch.
video?
OJ.
Oh, whoa. Oh, my God. That's crazy.
That is so weird.
That is
Check in a
so
second.
good. Look how good it is now. Oh, my God, it's Kanye. I mean, how good is this technology now? It's insane.
It's a lot better than when Snoop Dogg morphed into the Doberman Pinscher or whatever.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
It's almost perfect. It's almost perfect, right? Like maybe if it was like really well lit and in high resolution, you'd be able to detect some weirdness. But as the way it's lit here, it's perfect. Look, that Will Smith, that's so strange.
God, that's crazy.
That's so strange.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Well, how
You'd
long
think they'd
before
be
we
able
can
to make a
actually
good-
make one of those? Like make a person that you see on television. Like, I like you. I'm going to make one just like you. Keep it in my house. Like, what the fuck, man?
yeah.
How long before that happens where they can make artificial versions of a person? I think they'll have a reasonable facsimile of a human being in about 30 or 40 years. They'll be fake people.
I like the conspiracy theory that Elon bought Twitter so that he could perfect his AI. But
I don't know if it's a good... who knows?
I don't know.
I think what he really wants to do is try to balance out the idea that people should be able to speak.
Oh, I think so.
I think that's the real thing. But maybe he's working on AI too.
Yeah.
Both can be true.
Both can be true.
What do you, when you're talking about AI, like, what should they do? Should they not do AI at all because it's eventually going to be smarter than us and take over? Or should they get ahead of it to figure out how to stop it from taking over the world before it does?
It's beyond my pay grade. I can't even. I can't even. I
Does
kind of.
not compute.
Yeah,
That's the big fear, though. The big fear is that artificial intelligence is going to become sentient. It's going to make its own decisions and decide that we're irrelevant and just eliminate us. We cause problems where we're shutting the power off on it and trying to kill it.
When
We
Skynet comes
can't.
online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be. Look, it's Elon's scared of that shit.
Yeah.
When someone as smart as him is scared of that shit,
No,
I start thinking about it.
I agree.
That's what I'm worried about with all this Pentagon UFO type stuff.
Yeah.
It's really just some drones, some things they've been developing.
My favorite thing was when, like, on people were talking about like Russian disinformation propaganda on social media, and I'm like, wait, the whole thing is fucked with.
Yeah.
Like everything that like I don't know. Every side's being fucked with.
Yeah, everything's fucked with.
Yeah.
Propaganda's all.
That's why social media, like to me, I was like, yesterday was Mother's Day, and I was just like, man, like this is. I feel guilty not posting something about my own mom, but like, but what do I like? It's the whole thing. It's confusing. Then you sit there and you see people posting about like Ukraine, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, I honestly like, I just don't. I just feel like people are compelled to like, some sort of algorithms compelling people to like, I don't know, take sides, get involved with shit. And I think that that's all part of it. You know what I mean? Like to really feel strongly about something, like that maybe someone otherwise wouldn't be. Like someone I've heard mention like Ukraine or something now, like posting the thing, wearing the pin. Like, I don't know. I mean, the U.S. just invaded like a couple countries and destroyed them, and no one was giving like. A friend of mine was in the military, and he went to, he's part of the Iraq War, multiple tours over there. He's like, that was like the most pointless fucking thing the U.S. has ever done. He's like, Afghanistan, worthwhile, but the Iraq thing was very bizarre.
Well, the fact that so many people thought there was actually weapons of mass destruction over there and there weren't. But it's, there's no arguing that Saddam Hussein was a terrible person either, though. It's so confusing. If you want to become the policeman for the world, we're going to get in a lot of fights. There's a lot of fights out there to be had. Like, oh yeah. Unless someone knows the Avengers, I don't think this is a good idea. This seems.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah, we could barely keep it together over here. We're holding on tooth and claw to democracy over here.
Yeah, that's why I've always felt like whenever it's just like it's so easy to be a hypocrite. Not to the point I don't want to be like too cynical, where it's like you shouldn't feel anything about anything, but like there's always another side to it. There's always something else going on, and when you see something like Russia invading Ukraine, it's hard to then also like look at the human rights violations are all around the world, and that we're buying our phones from places that are basically having almost forced labor. I don't know. It's too much for me to fucking process.
Yeah.
But I do think like I do think there's mass manipulation just in general. Social media. You saw like it's guilty before innocent, and it's just harsh, and the whole thing. Like watching what happened to you the last couple months was just like ridiculous, and infuriating. And I got into so many arguments about it because like I listen to your show pretty religiously. I love the fact that you highlight so many different points of view, and I never took the show as being like anti. Whatever. Anti-vax.
No. It's just
and to hear people like close to me saying, "Oh yeah, it's like horse glue or whatever the fuck, horse dewormer," and this. I was like, you know what? That's actually ridiculous because he must not listen to the show because he just was, that's not really what the message has been about. But I think that there's a lot of that, man. People just get on board and don't understand the whole fucking situation all the time.
Well, people were scared. It was in the middle of a pandemic. And the anxiety was higher than ever. And when they felt that someone was being an idiot, they were very aggressive about it. Yeah. It became a different way of communicating. And if someone wants to push a narrative that you're taking veterinary medicine, and they just get it out there, it gets out there, and all these people go, God! And then they just respond, and then you get chaos. Yeah. I took a series of medications that my doctor prescribed, and they worked. And I was better in a few days.
Made for some good memes.
Yeah. Maybe for some good memes, but it was only one of the things that I took. I took monoclonal antibodies too. Yeah. I said that too. I said that in all of it, but you come to realize like it's not about news. It's not about telling the truth. It's about these weird narratives that are trying to get to move people in one direction or the other. And it's shocking how easy it is to get people to move.
Oh,
it's weird.
It's very weird.
Weird how easy it is to get people to comply. Even if it's for their own good, I'm not saying it's not, but it's weird how so many people barked at the people behind them, barked at the people that were non-compliant. How many people, like in L.A., they were actually giving you money to snitch on people?
Right.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they were telling you they'll give you money if you snitch on your neighbors who are having parties when they're not supposed to have parties. Like, what kind of fucking Orwell world are you willing to accept just for this one thing? Like, if this is a test run to see how people respond to a real pandemic, a real terrifying one, like the Spanish flu or like the Black Plague or something crazy, well, guess what? We got an F. We got an F on one that doesn't even I mean, it's mostly old people and people with comorbidities, and you know, some young people. But it's not as bad as the Black Plague. It's not as bad as bubonic plague and all these different fucking diseases that ravaged humanity. Smallpox killed 90% of the Native Americans. I mean, if one of those fucking hits us, shit.
It's nuts, man.
With all this democracy as we know it, it's going to evaporate. If
You
there's
go
a
to LA
real
tomorrow
thing.
for the first time in a long time.
LA's making a comeback. It's like slowly relaxing. LA's just heightened state of anxiety is still a little above Nashville for sure. But
Yeah.
they're coming back to normal.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the scene's like.
Haven't been there in a minute.
No.
Be careful out there. It's wild. The West is wild again.
We're playing at the Troubadour.
Oh,
out
that's a
there.
great
Dude,
spot.
you know what is crazy? Tom DeLonge said to me, I just remembered. He said to me, he's like, within 60 or 90 days, this is like early October 2019, he's like, in 60 to 90 days, something's going to happen that's going to change the world forever in a very, very profound way. And I'm like, what? He's like, just mark my words. And then, like, dude, when I first started seeing, like, videos of the Wuhan lockdown, I was like, what the fuck? Like, you could say that literally any other time in my life, and, like, okay, 9/11, or, but no other time would it be like that. And he was like, within 60 to 90 days.
Why was he being so cryptic about what it was going to be?
I don't know. But he said that he had information. And like that, the virus hit like early December, so he was right.
I doubt he thinks of anything other than UFOs.
I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't know. But
Right?
said
Does
that.
he's not like interested in other conspiracies as well, is he?
I don't know.
He's pretty much all in on the UFO one.
I don't know, man. But he did say that to me.
What if he's right? What if he's right?
He was convincing to the point where I was on stage in front of 15,000 people having an existential crisis. I mean, like, what's it mean? Why do I even play this show? There's aliens watching this. Everything.
Well, that's what freaked me out the most about Communion. The idea that they could be so intelligent and so able to avoid our detection that they could just capture you at any time and take you, and no one would know, and everyone's paralyzed, and everyone's memory gets erased.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah. I remember checking books out from the library when I was a kid, and just like, cause being really little and just scaring the shit out of myself. Being like, oh yeah, there's the tall whites, there's the reptilians,
Yeah.
They all live. There's the grays,
Men in Black.
there's the men in black. I was like,
It might be real, but goddamn, it's fun. It's fun. It's our boogeyman. It's our monster.
I was so cynical by the time I was like 13 when X-Files came out. I was like, this is disinformation. Straight up. And forget about it. When Men in Black came out, I was like, give me a fucking break. They're getting us ready.
How much of Bob Lazar talking have you listened to?
I've saw him on here. I've seen a few things.
What did you think? You have a good bullshit detection.
Yeah,
device.
I mean, I love the idea that there's thousands and thousands, like they found in our archaeological site.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the idea.
It's a great plot.
It's a great plot.
I'd see that movie.
I have seen that movie. I feel like
Yeah,
I think
a
so.
few times.
it's called
But he
Planet
said
of the
this
Apes.
he was saying this in 1989.
The part that blows my mind is, like, wasn't his wife like having an affair, right?
This is what happened.
Yeah.
He had top secret clearance because he was working at S4 on some propulsion system. He claims that was back engineering a UFO. To have the kind of clearance that he had to work on that, they had to constantly monitor his phone. They found out that his wife was having an affair, so they had to terminate his employment. He couldn't get an answer as to why they terminated his employment, so then he would take his friends, like, look, I'm telling you, I was working on fucking UFOs. So he takes his friend to this mountain, they film it, they get arrested because you're not supposed to be out there, and then he goes on the news because he thinks they're going to kill him. So he goes on the news and tells everybody that he was working on back-engineered UFOs, and he's only doing this because he wants to get this out because otherwise they're going to kill him. So he has to talk about it. So he tells his story, and this is where it gets weird because he's been consistent with this story. He tells it exactly the same way for 30 fucking years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more inclined to believe it than like the lumberjack that disappeared for 4 days. Like,
That guy, that's Travis Walton.
Yeah.
Right here. That dude.
Yeah, no, he's
I got
from
a bobblehead.
he's from near where my wife's from in Arizona. I think.
He didn't seem like he was bullshitting either.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
I don't know, but it's fun. I want to believe. I'll tell you that. That's what scares me about it. I don't want to think that we're the only ones. Fuck that. I want to think that it's something way smarter is watching us the whole time, and the things beyond your imagination are taking place in the cosmos. That's what I want to think.
Well, people believe, I mean, like the other day, someone just like, without any, they totally believe this. They're talking about Murfreesboro, which is a town near Nashville. Like, yeah, some guy there invented a car that runs on water. It's on display. Like, matter of fact, it's like, that's the world we live in. That guy believes that someone invented a car that runs on water, and it's just like on display.
There was a guy who invented a car that walked on water that went to a restaurant and said, they poisoned me, they killed me, and he died.
Yeah.
You hear about that guy? Yeah, this is like, I need to know if this is true.
It's true.
It is true.
It happened outside of Columbus in Grove City.
So this guy did they ever prove that his water engine actually works?
Oh, that part of it.
Because he said he had developed an engine that ran on water. We no longer need use oil for engines.
Here's an article. I didn't read through this yet. I'm just saying. I just pulled it up.
It seems a tad suspicious, lad.
It's the local
After
newspaper.
more than 20 years of research and tinkering, it was time to celebrate. Stanley Allen Meyer, his brother, and 2 Belgian investors raised glasses in the Grove City Cracker Barrel on March 20th, 1998. Meyer said his invention could do what physicists said is impossible, turn water into hydrogen fuel effectively enough to drive his dune buggy cross-country on 20 gallons straight from the tap. He took a sip of cranberry juice, then grabbed his neck and bolted out the door, dropped to his knees, and vomited violently. I ran outside and asked him what's wrong. His brother Stephen Meyer recalled. He said, they poisoned me. That was his dying declaration.
He had no assistants or nobody else he worked with?
Well, it sounds like he was a broke guy who came up with an amazing invention. Or this is all bullshit. It could easily be this is all bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, who orders cranberry juice? Fuck.
People with UTIs.
Yeah, what do you have, a UTI? That's like that's a beverage for someone in recovery. That's what it is.
It's an odd choice.
Unless you want
vodka in it.
Yeah, like give me something that tastes like shit, please.
People like vodka cranberry, don't they? It's a common beverage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like in the 80s.
Yeah, so that
90s.
might have been true. That the guy that might have actually had. Listen, all I do know is we should probably wrap this up. And I had a great fucking time with you guys as always. Thank you again for amazing music. Your new album is out. What day is it again?
It's out Friday the 13th.
Friday. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Dropout Boogie. Thanks for having us on, Joe.
Thank you. My
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank
It
you,
was
Joe.
awesome. And this album is fucking awesome. And here's a tour. And the tour is is that on your website?
Yep.
Oh, you guys are all over the place. Nice. All available online. Is it blackkeys.com? What do you got?
TheBlackKeys.com. I think if you just Google Black Keys, it should show up.
All right.
Yeah.
That's it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
you very
you.
much. Thank you. Bye, everybody.